What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Wednesday. Making a turn on this week. Dan Kasper Show on the air on your radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online at sportstalk1051.com. You can check out the video stream that's also available on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Appreciate you making us a part of your start on this, well, depending on where you're listening to, but in the Eau Claire area, a little rainy start here this morning. What do we got on the game plan? Well, late night again last night, but the Brew Crew getting it done in extra innings. 6-5 win in 11 innings against the Mariners last night. Brewers picking up their 13th win of the season, improving to 13-5 overall. Got Colin Ray, who made the starts. Got the no decision for the Brew Crew because it was the bullpen locking it down again. Major League Baseball's best bullpen, if you go based off of ERA right now. They're off to a fantastic start so far, but Colin Ray going 5 innings, 4 earned runs, couple walks, couple strikeouts there. But that was about it in terms of the unearned runs there. Wilson picking up the win last night. Devin Williams also getting in some action, pitching an inning, striking out 3. Matt Bush going out there, striking out 3 in his inning appearance. Christian Yelich leading the game off with a home run, his 3rd so far this season. He actually collected 3 total hits, couple of RBIs. Willie Adames, couple hits, 3 RBIs as well, home run 2. But Brew Crew picking up another W, put out another W in that column. They did suffer another injury last night, the Brewers did. Starting center fielder Garrett Mitchell had to leave the game at the end there, towards the end there, with a shoulder injury. If you were watching the game, you probably saw him, sliding back into third. Little sublake. Oh, I can never say that word. Shoulder kind of a little bit of an issue there, and then tried gunning the guy out at home, but then had to leave the game in the bottom of the 10th there. So we'll see how long potentially or how severe it's going to be. But Craig Counsell saying after the game it's a situation where he'll fly back with us Wednesday, and then we'll have to get him checked out by the doctors. So I guess you can probably assume that Garrett Mitchell will not be in the lineup card or be on that lineup card later on this afternoon as the Brewers try to get the brooms out and try to sweep the Mariners later on today. So, but I guess some good news, a little bit of an update from Corbin Burnes is that he said last night, I woke up this morning generally sore, but nothing crazy. Doesn't even feel like a peck. Maybe it was more along the lines of a sternum or a rib or something. And I was overcompensating with the peck. I'll continue to work here and be back to playing catch, which will be today, and then we'll know for sure. We probably got away with something before it became more serious. So fingers crossed that it won't be anything too serious, though, with Corbin Burnes after playing a little catch later on today. So, but we'll talk some Brewers as when we get to our leadoff here, recapping the win from late last night, looking ahead to a potential sweep of the Mariners this afternoon. Then the Brew Crew finally getting an off day tomorrow before returning home for a nice little stretch here as their run against some American League teams continue. You got Boston coming to town this weekend, followed up by Detroit, and then the Los Angeles Angels. We got Bucks back in action tonight as well. Game 2, 8 p.m., going up against the Miami Heat. Giannis officially listed as doubtful for a game designation for tonight's game. He did not practice with the team yesterday. His official designation being doubtful. Out is Wesley Matthews, still dealing with that right calf strain. Did play in Game 1, but obviously, not just can't get over that little bit of a hump. So, I mean, you talk about Wesley Matthews as being a defensive player, one of their better defensive players, especially in the perimeter. Kind of looking at maybe, Jimmy Butler, especially with Tyler Hero going to be out for this series. Probably some more pressure or putting more responsibility on the shoulders of Jimmy Butler. You'd like a guy like Wesley Matthews out there to kind of help defend the perimeter a little bit, but already ruled as out. And with Giannis listed as doubtful, maybe looking like Giannis won't play in game 2. So let's go with the assumption that Giannis won't play tonight. Do you think the Bucks can pick up the W without Giannis tonight? What do you think? Start sending me some of your predictions on the texting line, Shoe Doctor's bullpen line, 715-830-1912, or you can find me on Twitter at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports. So we'll talk a little Bucks and how nervous are you? How concerned are you? How worried? Whatever word you want to use to describe yourself with tonight's game. Let's assume Giannis doesn't play. Last night, we saw the Suns pick up the W to even up their series against the Clippers, 1 apiece. Cleveland also picked up a win to even up their series with the Knicks, 1 apiece. Boston also getting the win. They've taken a 2-0 lead over the Atlanta Hawks in their series. First round also continued with the Stanley Cup playoffs. My Kraken got a W against the Colorado Avalanche last night. Way to go, 3-1 victory. New York, the New York Rangers defeating the Devils 5-1. Tampa Bay taking it to Toronto 7-3. Winnipeg getting a 5-1 victory over Vegas. Tonight, Minnesota and Dallas going to be going back at it tonight at 8:30. That's going to be on ESPN 2. And if you're into watching a little Stanley Cup playoffs, other games in action, New York Islanders at Carolina, Florida at the Bruins, Florida Panthers at the Bruins, and then the Kings at the Oilers. So we're going to talk a little Stanley Cup playoffs too. We'll probably hit that up a little bit later on here. Tomorrow will be a week away from the first round of the NFL draft. I don't know if anybody else kind of saw this yesterday, and it might be a couple days old here, but I saw this yesterday, and I don't know if I missed it or what. So I apologize. This is a little bit old, but it was on Huber from who covers the Packers, SI.com. And yeah, this is a few days old, but again, I missed it. But it was some quotes from some New York media personalities, some New York media members, and kind of talking. And I missed this quote on here, but this was according to Craig. Is it Craig Carton, FS1, New York sports talk personality, also New York sports talk personality, but he said essentially what Mark Murphy kind of told Brian Gutekunst, was that it almost sounds like that Mark Murphy wasn't happy with the potential trade compensation for Aaron Rodgers, because it says here, according to Carton, the Packers-Jets trade would have been done 2 weeks ago if it were up to Packers general manager Brian Gutekunst. That when Packers president Mark Murphy allegedly intervened and, quote, infighting ensued. Murphy, in Carton's words, told Goody, "Do you like your job? Because I like my job. We are not making a trade for what's on the table." Okay. Again, I might have missed this a little bit earlier. I'm not quite sure when this all came out, but that's a little all right. Now, I don't know how a New York sports media personality would be able to find out that type of info, but I guess never say never. But I don't spend my free time listening to New York sports media, essentially, but I get the sense that there's some frustration from I'm assuming Jets fans, but also the New York sports media with this thing. I did find this kind of an interesting scenario. So, I mean, there's now more kind of like momentum or chatter or some, theories out there to kind of being thrown out there about a potential trade or when it's going to happen. And there was one in this article by Bill Huber says, what if the teams have agreed to swap picks, the Jets 13th and the Packers 15th, if the board falls to the liking of one or both teams? That could be part of one agreed to trade scenario. And if the board doesn't fall that particular way, then the teams could execute an altered version of the trade. Um, Interesting. I think interesting and maybe the fact, I mean, you can look at this a couple of ways. Everybody's assuming the Jets are probably gonna or really targeting an offensive lineman with their first pick, a left tackle, bringing in an offensive lineman. So if it if the draft kind of falls where, the Jets get to 13th and they've got a couple of offense linemen still available on their board and they know they can get that guy at 15, because Green Bay's maybe not going to draft 150. I don't know. I mean, some mocks have Green Bay drafting an offensive lineman at 15. Who knows? But maybe they feel like, okay, some offensive linemen have fallen down. We know we can get that guy at 15. Let's make this move. On the other hand, maybe there's a guy there that Green Bay really wanted that they didn't think was going to be available at 15, but he's available at 13. Then they make that move. So I mean, it kind of goes different ways there. I mean, you'd have to have both teams obviously agree to that. And then kind of reading a little bit more, Carton said if a deal isn't finalized before the start of the draft, then the Packers are going to, quote, open it up to other teams. The 49ers, who pursued Rodgers 2 years ago, would be in there. And allegedly, the 49ers have offered multiple third-round picks in this year's draft and a first-rounder in 2024. So, again, some interesting nuggets or whatever have you. But I also caution some of this. And I'm not saying none of this actually happened or none of this was ever said or whatever, but I think it's also common nature that the longer something goes without a resolution, that you start to hear more rumors and thoughts out there that manifest into certain ideas or topics and such. But I don't know. I don't. That Murphy quote, if that's actually true, that's man. And then that trade scenario too about potentially swapping picks. Interesting. Takes two to tango at that point. So, but yeah, we'll kind of maybe chat that up a little bit later on here this morning. It is Stock Report Wednesday. It's making turn stock reports. So whose stocks are up and whose stocks are falling? You can let us know with the text. Make your picks, tweet it, Facebook it, all that good stuff. We'll get to a little showdown coming up in the 8 o'clock hour as well. So, but let's get things going here this morning. Let's talk a little baseball here. Brewers picking up another win. They got a chance to sweep later this afternoon. Best bullpen in Major League Baseball based off ERA. Based off the ERA, Garrett Mitchell with an injury, with a shoulder injury. We'll give you the latest on that. And then just kind of recapping the game from last night and looking ahead to the series finale this afternoon. And then we'll mix in a little Bucks talk on there too. Question I'm throwing out to you all, assuming Giannis does not play tonight against the Heat, your level of concern, worry, nervousness about tonight's game 2 against the Heat? Or are you pretty darn confident that they'll bounce back and still get the W without Giannis tonight? Start letting me know. Hit me up with those text, tweets, Facebook, video stream, comments, whatever's easier for you. First break, and then we'll get things rolling here with the leadoff coming up in just a couple minutes. forget, if you're having any luck, well, best of luck to any turkey hunters going out today and the rest of the weekend. I'll be out on Friday. Won't have a show on Friday because I'll trying to gobble some in and my own turkey there. But don't forget to send over your photos if you're having any luck, whether it is turkey hunting or maybe fishing or spending any time in the outdoors. Because we're kind of revamping up our outdoors page on our website at sportstalk1051.com. And well, I want some outdoor pics from all of you. You the listeners are our pro staff members, okay? So you send over a photo and it's featured up on our Tilden Gun trophy gallery. You're going to be a member of our pro staff because I mean that's we don't need to find some fancy, pro staff members and such. We're all you guys are the pro staff members. So send those babies on over. Best of luck, and don't forget, it is getting to be the busy time of the year too. Like we got little leagues coming up. Your summer is going to be filled up with vacations and games and such. And before you know it, it's going to fly on by, and then fall is going to be here. And then you're going to be like, dude, I forgot to go get my new turkey shotgun or deer rifle and such. We'll make sure you don't forget about that in this busy time of the year and head on over to our friends from Field and Gun, and they'll help you find that new turkey shotgun you're looking for, or that new deer rifle, that you're potentially looking for. So, but and you can check out their entire selection of new firearms by visiting tildengun.com or just visit their shop. So, but best of luck to all the turkey hunters going starting up to today and such. And don't forget to send over your photos so we can put them up on the trophy gallery on our outdoors page. So, all right, let's get things going here this morning on the Elite Off Brew Crew, picking up another W. Took till extra innings. Took 11 innings for the Brewers to get it done, but it wasn't eventful last couple innings over there too, and maybe a little nerve wracking if you were staying up late, either listening to it or maybe watching it. I mean, you got Rodriguez up at the plate for the Mariners, bases loaded, down one. I mean, if you're the Mariners, you're probably feeling pretty good. You got Wilson pitching for the Brewers, and some people are like, "Who? Who's that guy?" It's not Devin Williams. Like, who? Mariners probably feeling okay. Got the best hitter up there, maybe getting at least one run in there. But Brewers getting it done, closing it down. Thanks again to Major League Baseball's best bullpen based off of ERA. Based off ERA, Bryce Wilson coming in, getting it done, locking it down for over an inning, picking up the win. Gets charged with the blown save there too, but picks up the W. I know last week we asked the poll question that we kind of threw out there on Twitter was it last week or maybe it was before? I'm kind of losing track of time here, but it's like what's surprised you the most? And the majority, and I'm not surprised the majority went with the offense, and I get it, I understand it. But we asked, was it the offense or the bullpen? And my pick was the bullpen. But I knew I was going to be in the minority. But right now, you're looking at this bullpen, you guys. Last night they added 6 more innings without an earned run. Without an earned run. After Colin Ray went out, shutting it down again. And now they lead the majors with a 1.91 ERA. And as Adam McCalvey from Brewers.com wrote in his latest piece on their website, that's a surprise. Quote, that's a surprise. There's no way around it. He's exactly right. This was It was a little different when we were in spring training in the offseason and looking at this group. And, maybe there was a little bit more optimism surrounding the offense. It was an unknown. We didn't know who was going to, how these guys were going to pan out. You bring in a Jesse Winker, you bring in a Brian Anderson, you've got your youngsters. There was some excitement with the youngsters, and there were some questions like, okay, can Winker have a bounce back? And, Brian Anderson, what can he provide? And obviously everybody's going to, have the spotlight on a guy like Christian Yelich and such. But when it came to the bullpen, it was Devin Williams and then who? Like, we didn't know. And even when you go back to some of the comments from like Matt Arnold and the Brewers, they were like, yeah, we like our guys, but we're not quite sure how it's all going to play out right now. Like, who's going to kind of run away with the setup role, or who's going to be what kind of roles these guys are going to be in? Are they going to be a late inning type of relief pitcher, maybe a little bit early into games? And right now, they're just getting the job done, as Craig Counsell said last night. They've been great, and if there's a better word for that tonight, they were. And it's been different dudes. It's been different dudes in this. I hope this is something that can obviously last throughout the majority part of the season, that this is going to be, can we use a phrase, dominant bullpen, or maybe a shutdown bullpen? Obviously, they don't have a bunch of big names, and obviously they don't have, when we go back to what the Brewers had in the back end, Devin Williams as a setup and Josh Hader as your closer. Or even before that, it was, you had Josh Hader as a little bit of a, you could put him in the seventh if you wanted, or put him at the closer. Then you got Devin, then you got Corey Knebel and such, Jeremy Jeffries. I mean, it's not that 7, 8, 9 that we have seen from these Brewers teams in the last few years, where it's like you just get to the seventh and you're like, okay, it's going to be dominant. I think we're still like kind of surprised and, just like, okay, this team's actually getting it done. This bullpen's actually getting it done. So, I mean, again, tip of the cap. I'll tell you right now, my stock riser is this bullpen. I mean, it's not a typical stock riser because, I mean, they've just been so good since the beginning of the year. But let's maybe start to pay a little bit more attention and give a little bit more credit to this bullpen, because they've done a fantastic job this year. Fantastic. It's awesome. Christian Yelich getting a leadoff home run yesterday to kind of set the table. Brewers putting up that run early in the game. Then it was, the third there with the Mariners putting up their 4. Brewers climbing back into it, tied it up in the 6. They go to extra innings. Each team scores a run. It was an eventful 10th inning. A little back and forth there. And then, that drama-filled 11th. Willie Adames getting the go-ahead RBI there. And then, as we said, Wilson getting Rodriguez to ground out to Willie Adames for a quick flip to second base to secure the W last night for the Brewers. Yelich collecting 3 total hits, couple RBIs. Willie Adames 3 RBIs on a couple of hits as well for him, and picking up that home run in the 6th. Now, though, we'll kind of see who's going to be getting some time in center field here. Another injury yesterday for the Brewers, or last night, I should say, with Garrett Mitchell with that shoulder injury. I wouldn't expect him to play today if we go based off of, Craig Counsell's comments last night. If you missed it, it's a situation where he'll fly back with us Wednesday, and then we'll have to get him checked out by the doctors. He looked like he injured it in the 10th when he, slid back into third base, but then he goes out there and plays in the bottom frame of the 10th, tries to gun out the guy at home, and then that's when he leaves there. Counsell was asked about that play, like whether Mitchell should have been out there to begin with, and he said he felt good. He passed the test, so we sent him back out there. In hindsight, it's the one play that unfortunately, you don't know. So maybe Weimer gets a start in center today. We'll see how it kind of all plays out, but hopefully, just knock on wood, cross your fingers, hold your lucky rabbit's foot. It's not something that will sideline Garrett Mitchell for too long here. Other injury updates surrounding the Brewers. We mentioned Corbin Burns. He said he woke up generally sore, but nothing crazy. Doesn't feel like pec. Maybe it was more along the lines of a sternum or a rib. But it sounds like, at least to Corbin Burns, he's feeling good, maybe feeling a little bit better than what he expected. He's going to play catch today and see how he really feels. going to go on a normal routine for him. Brewers also putting Luis Urias, moving him to the 60-day IL, 60-day injured list. So again, probably being extremely cautious on the hamstring with him. So, and right now, I mean, you look at it, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, you're gonna be really cautious with him because you don't have to push it. I mean, look at how this team is doing right now. Luis Urias on the team makes the team better, but right now they're playing good baseball. They're getting it done. So there's no need to really try to push it at this point. And, Adrian Hauser, he threw 59 pitches over 3 innings in a second rehab start in Nashville yesterday. Went from 30 pitches in his previous outing up to 59. So, again, it'll be interesting to see how the Brewers, when he's ready to go, are they going to put him into a starting role based off some of these injuries with the starting pitchers, with Brandon Woodruff. We'll see about Corbin Burns. The Brewers, initially intended to pitch Hauser out of the bullpen, but with these injuries, do they maybe put him back into a little bit of starter role? I mean, he's probably going to be a guy that when he is healthy and he's with the Major League Ball Club, he's going to be a guy that you could probably give a spot start here or there, but mostly coming out of the bullpen. And you like to have at least a guy, maybe a couple of guys in your bullpen that that you can give a couple starts or it has some starting experience out there. And Hauser has that. Brewers are probably going to have that with Ashby and Hauser, but those two guys dinged up. Ashby, we'll see if we even see him at some point this year. But hopefully Adrian Hauser will be ready to go here pretty soon and be activated to the big league club. And add already to a dominant bullpen, a shutdown bullpen for the Brewers. Just make them even more unhittable. Will the Brewers get the sweep today at 3:10 going up against the Mariners? What do you think? Give me your predictions. Do they get the brooms out again for a little spring cleaning? Head into their off day flying high with another series. Well, they already got the series win, but with a sweep, Eric Lauer is going to be on the mound. Got a battle of a couple lefties coming at you today. Eric Lauer looking for his 3rd win of the season. He's going to be going up against Gonzalez. Gonzalez so far 1-0 with a 4.22 ERA. Marco has pitched in 2 games, so this will be his 3rd game, but just in 2 games he's gone about 5 innings apiece. And you kind of look at, again, the matchups, the lineup cards going up against these pitchers. You got a couple guys on the Mariners squad who've got some experience going up against Lauer. Pollock has 13 at-bats, just 154. Suarez, 13 at-bats, 154. So advantage to Lauer there. Other than that, not a ton of experience. On the flip side, excuse me, you got a couple guys with this Brewers lineup that have had about a game's worth going up against Gonzalez. Yelich is in 5 at-bats, hitting 200. Mike Brasso, 5 at-bats, 200. Willie Adames is 0 and 4 at-bats. And then you got a mixture of like 2 at-bats amongst the others. So not a ton of experience between, these pitchers and these lineups here. So, but again, 3:10, and then the Brewers get the off day tomorrow. Much needed off day. I mean, this will be the first off day since August 6th. So when you look at it, this consecutive games played started on April 6th. But it started on April 7th in that series against the Cardinals. Won that one. Lost the series to Arizona right after that. Taken 3 out of 4 against the Padres. Now have taken at least 2 against the Mariners. I would deem this as successful regardless of what happens today. If they win or lose. I would deem this a successful West Coast trip, wouldn't you? Yeah, you only win 1 out of 3 against the Diamondbacks, but you take 3 out of 4 against the Padres, and you win this series against the Mariners. I would deem that a successful West Coast trip. Be even more successful if they get the W today. I'm gonna go. I'll pick a W. I'll go with the win. Why not? Let's do it. Eric Lauer on the mound, looking for his third win. I know he's kind of been a little shaky up and down and such, but I'll go with the W for the Brewers, and they get the sweep. Why not? You'll be able to catch both games, Brewers on I've been told 105.1 FM and 790 AM, so you can check them out here. And then the Bucks game later tonight because it's the late game, 8 p.m. for the Bucks, an early game for the Brewers. So both games will be on this radio station here. But Bucks, meanwhile, talk about injuries. Wesley Matthews not going to be playing. He's already been ruled out. Giannis listed as doubtful for tonight's game against the Heat. So how nervous does that make you? On a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 you're just freaking out and you're panicking and your palms are sweaty? Like, I don't know if they could get this done without Giannis. We're gonna drop in an 0-2 hole, and then the series moves to Miami. I'm nervous, man. Calm me down. I think for me, obviously I want Giannis out there. Everybody wants Giannis out there. Everybody wants a healthy Giannis out there. Okay, we all know that. But I think the Bucks can win tonight without Giannis. They can get that win. It's gonna take a couple more guys to kind of step it up and fill that void. Next man up, and a little bit more, you know, on their shoulders. A little bit more pressure, a little bit more responsibility on their shoulders. I know Giannis hasn't been officially ruled out. Budenholzer said we have 24 plus hours before the game time. This was yesterday. He'll get treatment. We'll see how he feels. There's been a lot of progress, and hopefully there's more in the next day or so. So he also said there's optimism. Time is a little bit on our side, but that equation will flip. But yeah, I would say we're optimistic. I guess I wouldn't be too surprised if Giannis did try to play tonight. Maybe on a minutes restriction or such. But regardless, even if he is on that court, other guys are going to have to step up and kind of help fill that void. Kind of make it a little bit easier on Giannis tonight. Make it a little bit easier. Middleton did his thing. Middleton's going to be counted on to do, to maybe kind of have a repeat performance or be the go-to guy on the offensive side of things. Drew Holiday, we've seen him do it a few times this season in the regular season where he has been that offensive guy. It's going to be interesting. Jimmy Butler is going to be asked to do more with no Tyler Hero. He's going to be asked to do more in the offensive end. So Bucks, I think, would have to realize that, know that. By the way, the spread has dropped to 6. Yesterday was 9, I think. We said now it's dropped to 6 this morning and still in favor of the Bucks. But back to Drew Holiday, assuming maybe if the Bucks look at this like, Drew, you're going to be on Butler, and we know Drew Holiday is one of the best defenders in the entire league. And if he's going to be tasked with trying to slow down, especially with Wesley Matthews out, if he's going to be the guy tasked to follow Butler, to try to slow him down a little bit, does that take away a little bit from what he can do on the offensive end? We've talked about this last couple of years when it comes to Drew Holiday. He spends so much energy, and he plays so hard on the defensive end. Does that affect, his offensive performance sometimes? Maybe. Possibly. But then, where are the other offensive numbers going to come from? It's got to come from a guy like Brook Lopez. We mentioned Chris Middleton. Bobby Portis again. Bucks just, it's I hate to say it's kind of simple, but the thing is, Heat, odds are, probably not going to shoot 60% again from 3 in this game. I guess never say never, but probably not. And Bucks just straight up got to shoot better from 3. They can't shoot 20-some% from 3. So you shoot a little bit better from 3. Heat shoot a little bit worse from 3. get a little bit more of an offensive contribution. Brooke Lopez only shot the ball 7 times in game 1. Probably gonna have to be asked to do more, shoot the ball more in game 2 here. So I think the Bucks can win without Giannis tonight. Love to have him on the court. It makes things easier, no doubt about it. But they can get it done. I'm probably at about 4 in terms of like panic mode. I mean, obviously, I don't want this Bucks team to be down 0-2 and have the series move to Miami. But I feel like the Bucks are going to come out, and I think they got to come out tonight and kind of set the tone early. I think they got to set that tone early. Put the pressure on Miami, put up a big number in the first quarter, but don't take your foot off the pedal either. Go in there, drop a big number in the first. Get that crowd into it. Get the Fiserv Forum crowd into it. Get them loud. Get them rocking. And put that pressure immediately on the Heat. Be aggressive right away. I got the Bucks winning tonight. And I think they'll cover too. So, all right, let's take a quick break and then we'll finish up the first hour. Those comments or those quotes I read about the latest Packers drama. What were your thoughts on that? We'll hit that up coming up next. Get your morning started off with a nice cup of coffee from our good friends over at Cabin Coffee, River Prairie, and Altoona. There, maybe if coffee's not your thing, don't worry. They've got some smoothies over there that are fantastic. Great breakfast menus, Southwest breakfast wrap over there, or or if you're your lunch, if you're looking for maybe a quick bite to eat or something, the Cabin Coffee Club is absolutely fantastic over there too. So Brambleberry, that's the month flavor of the month so far here. Can't wait to see what their flavor of the month is going to be coming up in May or such. But you want that caffeine kick here a little bit early this morning, go visit our friends at Cabin Coffee River Prairie in Altoona. All right, to maybe get yourself some white coffee over there too. But fantastic lineup or fantastic menu lineup over there. If you haven't tried it, go do yourself a favor and go check them out. Okay. Hey, I like this text. I might have to make this maybe a podcast episode or maybe kind of a question of the day. Don't know who you are, but if you want to give me your name, go ahead. I want to give you a little bit of credit here. But you had a texter saying, random question for you here this morning, Mr. Kasper. But what is your favorite sports quote of all time? Now, that's a good one. I don't know if you're just kind of referring to about, like a soundbite, like the whole playoffs one, or you're talking about like a quote at any point a sports figure said, Lombardi's full of quotes and such. I'm a big quotes guy. I love quotes. I love a good quote. I have to think about this for a little bit, but I will say one of my favorite ones is as of late, and it kind of hits home just on a personal side of things as of late here too is a quote from Kobe Bryant. Haters are a good problem to have. Nobody hates the good ones. They hate the great ones. And I like that one. That one's been a recent favorite of mine. That one kind of hits home here a little bit too. So I actually have that one up in my office as a nice reminder once in a while. But I mean, Lombardi's always good for a good quote here too. How about this? Anybody else? If you let's help this individual answer that question. What's your favorite sports quote of all time? I like that random question. Thanks for sending that over. Send me your name if you don't mind. I want to give you a little bit of credit over there too. Okay. So send those puppies on over. I'll be curious. That's something I have to think about here a little bit. I have to think about it a little bit. So, all right. We are a week and a day away from the first round of the NFL draft beginning. Don't forget to, we will be hanging out at our good friends Hy-Vee for a quick beer. If you want to actually have a beer with myself and some of the others out there, like a G-Man and maybe even a little Surveyor Sam or anybody else, we'll be at Wahlburgers at Hy-Vee having a couple, maybe one or a couple man cave lights as we watch a little bit of the draft, maybe up until at least when the Packers pick 15th overall, if they pick 15th overall. But if you got nothing planned next Thursday, you can hang out with us here for a little bit. But put that on your calendars here. I know there's a lot of smokes. What do you guys make of this? Do you think the Texans will actually not pick a quarterback second overall? That's like the biggest thing that's being thrown out there. That's like is this actually going to happen where the Texans won't draft a quarterback? I don't know of any Texans fans personally, but I would love to get their reaction if they don't draft a quarterback. It sure seems like Bryce Young's going to be the first overall pick. But now there's some serious questions about would the Texans take a quarterback with their second overall pick. Again, this could just be straight up smokescreen season. And we see it a lot when it comes to the NFL draft, especially like a week or two before it. And maybe all this debate was for nothing. But I don't know. We'll see. I know there's talk about next year with like Caleb Williams and is it I just blanked on the other kid's name. But anyways, with the top two quarterbacks next year, I get the feeling it's going to be another Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf draft where it's like which quarterback's going to be taken first, sort of thing. Well, we know which one ended up being better, but I wonder if we're going to get some actual tanks or such next year. All right, send those quotes on over. If you got any good ones, let's finish up the second hour here with Morgan. Good morning.
Hey, Casper. Good morning. See if you recognize this. Got to dust off. I'll tell you what I was doing yesterday. Final call, 200-meter dash. Final call,
Were
200
you
meter dash.
announcing a little track and field?
A little middle school track and field
Nice.
action. I had to brush up on my field and track events.
Yeah.
I tell you, it was nicer with the snow melted. Some kids were able to get out and run yesterday.
Yeah.
I had a track meet in Boyceville, but there is still some chilly breeze coming through there for those shorts. My goodness.
Yeah, we had t-ball practice last night, so
Outside,
Yep.
got a little watery in the eyes at times. A little bit chilly.
A little bit, maybe a little nose running sort of thing. So
a little bit of the snotters.
Yep.
I got to go Newt Rockney. One man practicing sportsmanship is far better than 50 preaching it. That's my quote.
Oh, nice.
Stand up,
Newt
act
Rockney.
up.
I
Don't
like
just talk
that.
about it.
Did you Google that or?
Show, don't tell. No, I like the action instead of the word mentality just in life in general. Like, don't sit on the bleachers and criticize the game. Get your butt in there and work or help.
So kind of like the Teddy Roosevelt "Man in Arena" quote.
Yeah, it's kind of something to that effect a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of saber rattling, but you know that mentality.
Yeah, I like that Teddy Roosevelt one too.
All right.
Tom Brady used it as the theme for his own documentary.
Yeah, but he also did an underwear commercial, so he's making choices.
Yeah, and
Brady's
beach
making
volleyball,
choices.
So
I didn't know that.
yeah, him and Gronk.
Top Gun style.
Yeah,
bringing out the chest work and the grunts.
Yeah.
Little gratuitous.
Hey, more power to him. He can do that now. So
Who sent in the quote question? That was good.
I don't know. They don't have a name yet, but I like
take ownership of it. That was that was a good call.
That's a good one.
Well, let those sports quotes keep coming in. We're going to give Casper some other questions here for Wednesday Wildcard. Shuffling up, digging into the psyche. Answer us this question. Drawn last from the deck. That's interesting. All right, guys.
First on my side.
Casper needs to let us know this answer. The question is, who is the most toxic player you've ever watched?
Toxic player that I've ever watched?
Yeah, can you think of a toxic sports player that
Yeah,
you've watched?
I mean, like Antonio Brown would probably be the latest one.
Yeah.
I mean, not too often do you see a guy literally walk off the field during a game and like take his jersey off.
Throw a hissy fit, basically, like big temper tantrum, yeah.
Draymond Green would probably be another one as of late too, stomping on people. He's suspended again. So it's probably be the top two as of late. Everybody's gonna say T.O. probably.
Yeah, that's classic.
That's
he was kind of doing it before, setting the stage. And,
a lot of people say him. So or Dennis Rodman if you want to go a little old school.
That
NBA.
is old school basketball. He was more like the bad boy than it was the temper tantrum thing.
He was the guy that if he was on your team, you're happy with.
Right, you like him on your side, but if he's on the other team, he's a pain in the butt kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. What's he doing these days? Do you know?
I don't know if he's hanging out with that North Korean guy anymore, the dictator over there or what.
Yeah, he's always been kind of doing the left off the rails.
He was on the Last Dance doc from a couple years ago.
Saw that,
so,
yeah.
Other than that,
have you rewatched that? Because I know it made a big splash when it first came out, but have you gone back and rewatched it?
I haven't rewatched it because there's clips all the time that's on social media, so it's like rewatching.
So you kind of like rewatch it in bits and not necessarily sit down to watch the whole thing again.
Right. Yep.
All right, we got time for one more. I think let's go back to the pile. Draw on another card for the Wednesday wild card. What is your best vacation memory?
That's funny. I was actually just talking to Veronica about this, like trying to figure out a vacation to go on. So I don't have any.
Okay, so what vacation do you guys have in the works right now?
None.
None?
No.
Okay, if she would pick a place.
I don't even know how to look up how to start a vacation.
Okay, where would she want to go?
She wants to go either to Ireland or Scotland or
somewhere. Like over the pond vacation.
Yeah.
Should learn how to like it and start looking into those trips. She wants to go. You should go.
I watched a documentary about that missing plane, the Malaysia one.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, so did I.
I don't want to be that.
Okay. So. Looks like you're going to Medford, V. Yep. Sorry.
Exactly. So, all right. So we got quotes coming in. Appreciate that. We got 1 and 2 more to go. We'll be back after these news updates. All right, second hour kicking off on this Wednesday morning of April 19th. Big thanks to all of you tuning in, however, wherever you may be tuning in. Coming up here, we will get to your sports nuggets of the day here in just a second. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk and some baseball chat as well. Catching up on a couple of texts here. Living a Dream Jeff talking with his quote. Winning isn't the only thing; it's everything. Another one saying, "Today I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth." Then we got Steve from Altoona. The quality of a man's existence is in direct proportion to his commitment to excellence, regardless of his chosen field of endeavor. That's from Lombardi. Good one right there. So, big thanks. Again, I don't know who you are, but if you don't let me know what your name is, I want to give you credit. It was a good question. What's your favorite sports quote of all time? So, rest of you play along. Send those babies on over to us. 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Let's do some sports nuggets brought to you by Ansay Associates. It was this day in 1897, the first annual Boston Marathon was held. It was the first of its type in the United States. I know we had some local runners, and this year's Boston Marathon is this past Monday. So shout out to all of you who participated in that. What else do we got? We got 1960. Baseball uniforms began displaying players' names on their backs. We got, let's go, 1968 in Chicago, the National League approved expansion to Montreal and San Diego. Dallas-Fort Worth failed in its bid for a National League franchise. 1988, the Philadelphia 76ers retired Julius Erving's number 6 before a home game. A Dr. J statue was also unveiled. 1992, Michael Jordan won his 6th consecutive NBA scoring title with an average of 30.1 points per game. And 1999, Cal Ripken Jr. was placed on the, at that time, disabled list for the first time in his 19-year career. He was suffering from a back problem. Those are just some of your sports nuggets of the day. Again, brought to you by Ansay Associates. Let's talk a little Stanley Cup playoffs because I got to brag. My Kraken got a W last night. Don't know if anybody noticed that, but they defeated the Avs last night. I know we asked earlier this week your Stanley Cup predictions out there. Lucas, what are your Stanley Cup predictions, and why do your Minnesota Wild have to pick on Joel Pavelski?
Well, playing the worst team in the world.
But that's a Badger, man. That's a Wisconsin kid. That's a Plover kid.
You choose the wrong team. You know, you just kind of have to go with the flow.
Sometimes you don't choose it.
Well,
sometimes you don't choose it.
It's called retirement. I'm kidding.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
So you can direct your complaints and emails to Luke Anthony.
Yes.
Now,
the NHL, I guess somewhat surprisingly, said no, this actually wasn't that big of a deal. Like they reviewed it and said it was an okay hit. I'd kind of rather he be playing. I mean, let's try not to, knock people out of games, even if it's somewhat unintentional. Let's just not do that. How about that? Yeah, it sucked. He should still be playing, but yeah, like I was glad they got the overtime win the other night. But this is all one game. All this is one game. But hey, I mean, the Kraken are on the board for playoff victory. That's good. Like legit, that's good. They got one already. Now,
should also give a shout out to Jake McCabe because this is actually his first postseason.
Yes.
Too.
Yes.
Believe it or not. So,
well,
it's been a long time after 10, 11 years or whatever it's been. So
when you're playing with Buffalo, that's gonna, prolong the process. And again, not his fault. He was drafted. It's just that the Sabres have taken a while to, they're gradually getting better. They're not the dregs of the league.
It's kind of like Joe Thomas when Joe Thomas was playing.
Yeah.
Best left tackle, but never played in the postseason.
Right.
So.
Because of who you're with, unfortunately. I mean, yeah, you get drafted into it, and that sucks. But Boston should be the favorite, but how many times have we talked? And you see it all the time. Like this morning, I saw another article on, but the best team in the NHL in the regular season, the President's Cup winner, doesn't tend to even get to the conference semifinals or the conference finals, the league semifinals, I should say. So I'm hesitant to pick Boston anyway. But like at some point, maybe it has to actually happen. So I think I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna pick your Kraken, but I'm not gonna pick my Wild either. I'm gonna go Boston versus. Let's go Edmonton.
Ha! That's the one I picked.
Let's say it happens.
I got Boston beating Edmonton in the Cup.
I think I'm the same actually.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, so not that interesting, but yeah, I think I'm going to go that route.
All right, yeah, that's what I picked too. So
and Toronto loses again in the first round.
I think that's what Coach Casey from the Steel picked yesterday too. But I think he has Edmonton winning it. I'm not sure. I think that's what I'll have to go back and listen. But yeah,
most fun matchup, and maybe that's the same thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, personally, or just from an outsider looking,
well, okay, now
bias sort of thing.
You want to see your Kraken. I
did find a sweet quarter zip hoodie for only like $39 just now. It popped up on my feed. So.
Okay, well, how much Kraken swag?
Not
do you
because
have?
Nobody carries any around here. So
it's cold.
Really wish they would carry some like Toronto Blue Jays has too. Let's represent Dalton Varsho a little bit. Come on now.
Thing called Amazon. You can go there and order.
Well, I mean, I would like to do it locally. So
if they had it, but if they don't, I mean. Okay,
I would like some. I'm the type of person, Lucas, when it comes to something, I want it now. I can't wait. So
just like you could just like take a teal marker and draw a big S on a black shirt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would just about cover, and then put a little like red highlighter around it, and there you got the S of the Seattle Kraken. Be pretty close. I want to see Edmonton because of Connor McDavid. Again, as an NHL fan, I mean, personally, of course, I want the Wild to be there and win it all. But as an NHL fan, yes, Edmonton, clearly. I do think the Toronto angle would be fun because it's the Maple Leafs are like the Cowboys of the NHL, only worse.
Mm-hmm.
To see, it would be fun to see how all Canadian matchup.
Does the NHL need Connor McDavid in there? We hear that from a lot of like sports, like, well, you want your best players, baseball would probably love to have Ohtani and Trout in the World Series, right?
Right.
That sort of thing. Does the NHL need Connor McDavid in the Stanley Cup final?
I'm sure they'd love to have Connor McDavid there. Now, last year they got as close as they possibly could last year. Last year, the conference finals in the West were the best possible matchup. Nate McKinnon having just a ridiculous season last year, and he's been good this year, but last year was sublime, versus Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers. But they can't go any further because, of course, they're in the same conference. So understanding that McDavid is the best right now, you'd want him one step further. And the East, I mean, the most well-known casual fan player is Sidney Crosby, but the Penguins, first time in after 16 straight seasons, aren't even in the playoffs this year. So actually the answer probably is Boston, Edmonton, because Boston has been so historic. They've got enough players that are kind of sort of known enough because the Bruins have been generally pretty good over time. And then McDavid and the rest of the Oilers, it's not just the Connor McDavid show. Leon Draisaitl's really good. He's just way behind in terms of points because McDavid's having an unfathomable year by modern standards. Yeah, I think the answer is still the same. Boston, Edmonton would be the best to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Which, of course, means we're going to end up with the New York Islanders versus the Winnipeg Jets.
Mm.
You know how that goes.
Yeah. But hey, we're based off game one results, Lucas, we're trending towards a Wild Kraken matchup.
Well, so far, yes.
Never know.
I know now that.
I'm just saying, if the Kraken want somebody to, go over to Minnesota and be their hype guy, I might be interested. Depends on my schedule. We'll see.
That's true. Does this officially mean that the series have started because the road team has won in both?
All right. I love that phrase. That's so dumb. That's so dumb.
Yep, the series is
Who
underway.
started that quote?
I
Or
don't-
who started that?
Speaking of quotes, okay, obviously you can place who first said certain quotes because obviously it was
Right.
said by a person. Sports cliches, I'd love to find, and maybe there's a site that has the etymology to find the originator of some of these quotes. And some of them, I'm sure, like giving 110%, like that, just sort of
Yeah, that
bubbled
one.
up.
What's the that could be another one. Like we come up with our list of the worst sports cliches of all time. Like the 110% one bothers me. That one does. And I catch myself saying it sometimes, and then I really hate myself when when I say it because it just doesn't make any sense. I don't I do wonder like I'm trying to how do I want to say this without upsetting Packers fans here? The whole frozen tundra one, I think would obviously really annoy Lombardi, and I think it would really annoy Lombardi because it's redundant, right? It's
Yes.
redundant. If you don't know it's redundant, people. But it's a phrase, so that sort of thing. But,
And now is somewhat apocryphal to the John Facenda thing, which apparently didn't exactly happen either. Like
right.
it's like a double myth.
Mhm.
But good luck stopping it.
Yeah, it's never going to stop, right? So, yeah, the 110% one really bothers me. I think I was listening. Was it a couple weeks ago? Dan Patrick, is it draft capital? when you come up to the NFL draft, who's got the best draft capital, sort of thing.
This is getting more into sports sayings as opposed to cliches, but you
Mhm.
could say that
Let's combine them both.
burning a timeout as opposed to taking a timeout.
Mhm.
That's a solid one. One that actually annoys me is when announcers refer to what's happening in the game we're announcing with folks in the arena here tonight, and it's like 1 PM.
Yeah.
How many times is that? Ugh, happens a lot. Looking at the sports cliche Wikipedia page.
Ooh.
I mean, a lot of the classic ones.
What are some of those ones? I don't have it up, so.
Yeah, but interestingly, I did not see like the burn the timeout one.
Okay.
So again, some of those that you don't really notice until
Gut
you
check time.
Yep. It is what it is.
Okay. Yeah. It is what it is.
Left it all out on the field.
Mm-hmm. The typical coach speak.
Mm-hmm. I'm having flashbacks to both Dan Patrick doing an answer in all sports cliches, and then Mike McDaniel doing the 3 sports cliches.
Defense wins championships. That's a sports cliche. Would you consider that a sports cliche?
I
They
think
have
it's
that listed on here.
It is. Because you don't really hear it in too many other contexts.
Right.
So yeah, I'd say that's a sports cliche.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of them are fairly anodyne, just like a whatever. And for a while there, it did seem like teams with good defense won championships.
Right.
There's a lot of these cliches are because, well, they're based in fact. It's like when you joke with someone, it's like, well, yeah, there's a little bit of truth to that. The same goes for cliches.
Gotta want it. How about the balls in your court? That gets thrown out a lot, but it gets used in different scenarios though too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've used it not just in sense of a game, but it's like, whose ball or which court is the ball in for Jets and Packers right now, sort of thing. But
he's a real blue collar type of player. What?
There's some. There's some. I know we're missing a bunch right now too, and that's what's going to bug me because I know we're missing some god awful ones.
Gosh.
But yeah, the 110% one's probably the one that annoys me the most.
That always confused me because I'm going to switch. I'm going to tie this over to the space program, but when the space shuttle existed, you'd hear the call the classic one, of course, is Challenger, because like one of the calls right before the thing happened was they said like 3 engines now at, I can always remember this, at 104%. And that would be a common call out because you have to throttle the engines a little bit because you go up in the atmosphere. You don't want the thing to break apart because that's just how the atmosphere works as you're going up. I'm doing the super, super simplified version. But they talk about how the engines of the space shuttle would have to throttle back down to like 100 and then up to like 103, 104%. I'd be listening to this as a kid going, what? How, isn't it 100? Like, that's max. Like, how do you go beyond maximum power? That never made sense to me. Like, why can't you just calibrate it to, we're at 100%. Now we got to go down to 90. Now we're back to 100. So what's 103%? Isn't the thing supposed to not function? Like, what? How do you do that? It's the same thing with sports. I never fully understood how that
Yeah,
works.
so I don't know if this is a great comparison, but this is what confuses me because I never got close to this. But how in the world could somebody get over a 4.0 GPA?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the maximum amount. So,
but people do, don't they? Somehow?
They do. Yes. Thanks for reminding me of that. That I was confused by that too. They got a 4.2 GPA. How?
You know, like I've never gotten close to even a 4. So I mean, maybe that's what confuses me the most. But it's like, how do you get like a 4.4, 4. Whatever the heck it is? I thought 4 was the max. So I'm confused about that too. Maybe somebody smarter than me can explain that.
Yeah. I think it has to do with like extra credit or.
Ooh, I got 100% on a test, and then I got the extra credit. So there you go.
So I guess there's a little bit more.
Overachievers. I think one now that's getting kind of thrown out there, and I think was it Peyton Manning in one of the Manning casts, the whole halftime adjustments cliche.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Peyton Manning that kind of said, "Yeah, there is no halftime adjustments. Like there's not time to do halftime adjustments." But that's whatever. But we always say that, don't we?
I think
they got to adjust at the half.
I think the only time I've heard of a real adjustment that we saw in real time was Mike Brown with the Kings the other night, where he said, like in the interview, it's like the on-court interview at the quarter or the half, like, wow, we need to really like pick up our pace or something. It was something about like defense or whatever it was. And then right after that, exactly what he said they needed to do, they started to do.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the exception that I think proves the cliche, because then they go, see, they made the adjustment there. Well, there they needed to, and Mike Brown called it out and admitted it on a national television broadcast, and he was going to do it anyway if there was an interview or there wasn't an interview.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I can't see a lot of that happening. I mean, there's a lot of breakdowns and such. I think we've heard sometimes of what actually goes on, and you got like this group over here is working on this thing, and this group over here is working on
dudes
this thing.
Dudes are getting snacks, hydrating a little bit, getting retaped or something.
But they're not
like sitting around, maybe like back in high school, you got the big old chalkboard or whiteboard, and coach is like, all right, here we go. This is what we're going to do. Yeah, I ain't doing that.
Everyone's sitting on a folding chair looking up.
Dudes are probably on their phones checking the Instagram, see if they got any, DMs or something like that.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, I think that's one that gets overplayed now a little bit too. Especially when a guy like Peyton Manning comes out and says, what halftime adjustment sort of thing. Yeah. And it makes sense because how many years ago was it when they actually shortened halftime by a few minutes? And then when you factor in, like, they just kind of casually walk off the field and, get in their locker rooms and they come out, a lot of them don't come out until there's like a few seconds left on the clock to kick off and that sort of thing. So think about it. How much time can you actually do anything in that locker room?
And again, there are certain subgroups that are going to break stuff down. They'll make certain adjustments. It's not like they all just go back and sit back and do nothing. I mean, they might as well just stay on the field in that case and just stay on the sidelines. But no, we're not getting the full on. Here's what we need to do different. Now you are gonna. No. That is very much that's a cliched concept in sports. But no, that doesn't happen. I've heard the same thing as well.
Yeah. So, okay. Tell you what, and then maybe in college basketball is a little bit different because they actually have a real halftime. It goes on forever. It seems like.
By the way, you want some sports cliches? Thursday, next week, it's coming.
Okay, I'm glad. Yes, draft ones are great ones. NBA is the best with Jay Billis. Wingspan, athleticism, athlete, that sort of. Oh yeah.
If you did a Mel Kiper Jr. Draft cliche, I'd say drinking game, but you're dead by 8:00. You might want to do that as a bingo thing.
They got to have a draft bingo card.
It's got to be.
I'm going to look that up during the break here. But since you're talking draft, I did not know this. Tom Pelissero just tweeted a couple minutes ago. Today is the deadline for NFL teams to time, test, visit, interview, or conduct a physical examination with draft eligible players at club facilities, so like those top 31. So now you know it's happening. It's happening. So
The Packers better know if they really want Hendon Hooker.
nice. I like it. All right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll be back. We might throw a little draft talk in there too. Otherwise, let's get back to some hoops talk and baseball talk after these quick words. All right, I got a couple of draft bingo cards. You ready for this? We missed out on some good ones, dude.
Okay.
We missed out on some really good ones. High motor. Loves the game.
Yes.
Intangibles. Son of a coach. High football IQ. He's a tweener. Sleeper. Explosive in the first step. High upside. We got, here's a little bit more in-depth ones. Adam Schefter on the phone. Can't miss player, you know, so
Can't
to say.
miss prospect.
Yep.
Mhm.
Player referred to as a project. We got a surprise pick. Players compared to a pro. Oh gosh, yeah, that's you would be drunk after the first 6 picks because everybody compares one to a pro at
You
this
said
point.
Steele, right?
Yes, Steele. Yep, exactly. So there's some good ones on here. We missed a lot. So I kind of want to do this, but I know I'll be in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble. Passes the eye test. That's a good one.
Yes.
Man. Strong pocket presence. Great pro day. Generational talent. He can make all the throws. That's a good one, too. So. God, man. So,
oh, boy. Cannon of an arm, something like that.
Yeah. He was my number 1 guy at his position.
Of course.
Student of the game. Just a winner. Just a winner. High, great value pick. You're going to hear great value pick a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So
number 1 on our board.
Yeah. Or I love this pick for them. You're going to hear that one too. Great Gogly Mowgli. So
wow.
Are you buying the whole Texans not drafting a quarterback at number 2 talk right now? That seems to be really, really gaining steam.
Gosh, it does. But there's so much lack of transparency, shall we say. Trying to find a better word for it. That's what it is. Like, I'm not buying any mock draft. Then that's not exactly the same thing as what the Texans are doing. But
wait, you don't even buy mine?
Come on. I mean, outside of yours,
I mean,
yours is the best of the batch. Clearly,
I want
how
mine.
many? Wait, how many did you get right last year?
Did I get 6? My record's 11.
Yeah, because remember, it's like a full point for getting it right, and then a half if you get it like
the right tee or the right team or something like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or right position.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, my record's 11. That's the infamous picture that Brandon always posts of me and him celebrating the last pick.
Yeah.
Because I got the Keneal Henry pick right for the Patriots. So
I don't think they do that. I mean, I guess they could trade down. I'm really trying to let my personal.
How much is this? Because D'Amico Ryans is coming from the 49ers.
Yeah.
So, obviously everybody's thinking defense. But then how many people are just maybe just a skosh overlooking or overthinking this because they're like, well, look at the 49ers. They won with Brock Purdy, who was the last pick in the draft last year. So, the Texans don't need to draft a quarterback 2nd overall because D'Amico Ryans is coming from a team that did this last year.
How long until this becomes this becomes the new don't draft running back high because you're going to turn them over in like 2 or 3 years, and then that's going to be quarterbacks. Like, I don't think that's going to happen at all. But if you start to have a run of like low drafted quarterbacks winning, you start to get to the point of maybe we don't need to take a quarterback 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 at the very top when a lot of them aren't going to pan out anyway. Okay, Will Anderson is the other option, but is Will Anderson necessarily the best guy? Because what Peter King was saying that Tyree Wilson now, or at least he was reporting that. But yeah, like his What I'm Hearing segment in Football Morning in America said, I'll read the quote here directly. I will not be surprised if, in the edge category, Tyree Wilson is picked ahead of Will Anderson. I particularly will not be surprised if Houston, whether a 2 or 3 trade down, if the Texans don't take a quarterback, there you go, trade down, takes Wilson over Anderson. Said someone in the league who knows Ryans, quote, D'Amico Ryans could look at Wilson after his year in San Francisco and say, I got my Nick Bosa. And another coach says Wilson will be a better pro than Anderson. Tyree Wilson, I mean, his stock is going up fast. Now, the Carter's definitely fallen, though he's still probably a top 10 pick. At this point, is it like the better, quote unquote, bet or maybe literal bet to not pick Jalen Carter to the Seahawks? Like he seems like a stone cold lock at this point. But I think the Texans, okay, here's the best answer I can say is the Texans, they're not going to take a quarterback at 2. I think what this means is they're going to try to trade down to 3 or 4 and try to take Tyree Wilson. Because then
Are they trying to get these teams like the Colts maybe to move up, or somebody's like who really likes CJ Stroud, maybe assuming Bryce Young is the first overall pick.
If someone freaks out about Anthony Richardson, suddenly they got to get him up at 3. There are a few that's like Will Levis is falling a little bit. I feel like
CJ Stroud is falling a little bit here now too. It's like he's turning into the Bo Callahan from draft day. Did like nobody go to his birthday party and they're finding this out now or something? I mean, come on.
I'm telling you, we need to have like a special screening of draft day the afternoon of the draft.
We do. I'm fully on board with that.
That'd be fun as heck.
Brandon has yet to watch that movie.
I have yet to watch that movie.
What?
I know.
So you don't even get my references on that.
And I'd want to because it's so bad. It's good. That's the thing. Oh, okay. I need to find. Is it on Netflix?
I don't know, but I have a copy of it, of course.
I might need to borrow the DVD.
You know what? I might have to find a movie poster of that and put that in the studio here.
That would be quality.
I think I could find something on eBay.
Actually, if you were having the draft party again at like a place like a Hy-Vee, see if they can like. And the TVs have like, of course, one on NFL Network, one on ESPN, and the other just show draft day.
Yes.
During the draft.
Yes. Draft day movie poster.
Thing is, if I were there, I'd probably watch draft day and then just get all the actual real draft updates on my phone because it's a whole lot easier to get that.
Oh, I can, for about $16, I can get a poster on here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. We might have to do this.
All right. Meanwhile, I'm going to start looking up draft day here in the background. Okay. If they're at number 2, I don't know that they. I don't know that they can't. I hate doing double negatives. Can't take a quarter. I think they have to do that, if only because this is weird with what Nick Caserio may be leaving after this. That's weird.
He really downplayed that yesterday,
and they probably won't. But it's odd.
Mm-hmm.
But would Cal McNair want them to not take a quarterback now? But then again, they brought in Ryans, and if Ryans is saying, "Look, I'd rather have the defensive guy, and we'll figure out the quarterback thing again." Look where I came from. And the success that happened there, I can recreate that here. That's what you hired me to do. I can do that. If he can, I think it's more on D'Amico Ryans convincing the higher ups of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he'll work with whomever he's given.
Right.
So I don't think, I initially was saying they're probably going to have to take a quarterback, but that would only be a 2. I think they're going to try to trade down and then take Tyree Wilson and then try to use some of that draft capital to maybe get a quarterback here or try to, do the more common thing of late, which is a tricky thing to do, but we're seeing more and more of it. Get more picks in upcoming drafts to get yourself in a better position.
And the other part in this too is I'm curious how, so like next year, you're going to have 2 very highly touted quarterback prospects, Caleb Williams and Drake May.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is going to be the next Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf, who's going to be the number 1 sort of thing. But are we going to see teams blatantly obvious this year tank for Caleb or Drake? Because I think part of it now is like if there's all this talk about Houston not drafting a quarterback, are they already preparing for next year's draft for one of these guys?
It depends on if you really, really want one of the guys who's going to be left. Presuming Bryce Young goes to Carolina, and that sure looks like that's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So if if I'm, boy, we're using sports cliches like crazy. If I'm not with CJ Stroud or any of the other top ones, if I'm Houston, I think I do trade down a bit, try to get more picks, know that I mean, here's the thing, though. Houston might actually play their way out of a top pick next year because between the personnel on that team that clearly wanted to play well and probably a pretty good motivational coach, D'Amico Ryans is probably going to get that team to 5 or 6. Well, guess what? Now you're not one of the top teams anymore for, number 1 of the draft. Like, who's going to suck next year?
That's what I was wondering. Like, who would be the obvious teams to just stink it up so they could get the number 1 or
Cardinals?
number 2 overall pick? They already got Kyler Murray with that contract.
They go through a number 1 quarterback every 2 or 3 years.
Man.
I mean, they have a track record.
Hey, what if I don't know if they have a first-round pick with that whole trade. What if Denver stinks?
They won't, though.
That's the thing. But, if Sean Payton doesn't like Russell Wilson, it's like, tank it. I want Caleb Williams.
I guess.
Raiders aren't going to stink enough, I don't think.
It'd be really funny if the Browns had a horrible year.
Yeah.
And they have the number 1 draft pick.
You know what might actually happen? The more I'm thinking about this, Lucas, what if the Rams?
Ooh.
Because, they're selling off a lot of players right now. They're trading Allen Robinson right now. They're paying Allen Robinson 10 of his $15 million to not play for them next year. And they're getting a 7th round pick in return for it.
The only thing with that is, based on the quotes I've read, you probably read, I think, and part of the problem for the Rams last year was that Sean McVay was kind of checked out.
Yeah, burnt out maybe a little bit.
Yeah, and right, and he is, by all accounts, really wanting to be all in, at least in terms of being engaged this year. I don't think he would, I guess, allow the Rams to be that poor where they're a 3-win team, kind of like Ryans. I think the coach is going to probably has a wins above replacement of at least 2 or 3 based on whatever team you've got. We're guessing on D'Amico Ryans. That's total projection. I think McVay, it's probably there.
There's 2 teams I keep going back to. I'm looking at the standings from last year to try to gauge this a little bit. I don't know what Atlanta's going to look like this year. I don't know. But again, you're talking about a coach heading into his 3rd year. Is he going to want to, Arthur Smith have a bad record? Probably not. So there's 2 teams in the same division for me that keep popping out here. The Colts, but they have the 4th overall pick. And the other team, I don't feel like they're going to be good this year, but their coach, I can't see being, hey, we're just going to get through this year and try to get top. The Titans. I just don't view Mike Vrabel as that type of coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they really do try to trade Derrick Henry and such, they're going to stink this year.
They may try to tank, but again, I think there's just enough there that their floor is a little too high. I wonder
the Buccaneers tank with Baker Mayfield.
The Buccaneers are one, and actually, if you want a team where we're kind of going to that whole, like we say this a lot with the NBA, where they kind of want a team to be in a certain position to get a certain player because it's going to be for the greater good, et cetera, et cetera. How about Washington?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Post Snyder, the bottom drops out this season.
Yep.
They have the number 1 pick. And
they finally get a quarterback.
And everything is looking up from there. Superstar quarterback to come in as the team gets the new ownership, goes to the
probably
new
get a new coach, maybe too.
Maybe, yeah.
Get that high, flashy, offensive-minded young gun.
And this is all the beginning of the regeneration of the Washington football tradition.
I think you hit it. I think you got the team. Yep.
And again, it's not that the NFL is going to. There'll probably be some joking about that, but no, that the NFL's not going to do that. But boy, would that dovetail really nice, especially considering the absolute apathy in Washington by all accounts about that franchise. I'm sure there are some folks up in NFL offices that'd be like, you know what? Wouldn't be the worst outcome in the world.
Yeah.
That's probably the one we really want.
I didn't even. That's a good pull. I think I'm with you on that one.
And I think they might. I don't know that they're going to be that bad, but I could see us. I could be convinced into Washington being like a 2-win, 3-win team. I don't think they will be, but whereas the others, I can see there being a floor. I think the floor for Washington's pretty low.
What are the odds? Do we have odds for worst record?
I haven't seen that just yet.
I'll look it up here. Odds for worst record in the NFL. Can I learn how to type? Okay, we got over under for regular season wins. Is this something on here? Yep. Okay, so this is from DraftKings. Okay, so scrolling on down. Cardinals, Texans, 5.5 lowest ones. Then it is the Buccaneers at 6.5. Colts 6.5. Titans 7.5, and then Washington 7.5. Washington's also tied with. We got a lot of 7.5s here. Yeah. Rams, Patriots, Raiders, Packers, Falcons, Panthers, Bears, Commanders, Titans. That's 9. 9 teams at 7.5.
The Packers at 7.5.
Yeah, Minnesota's at 8.5. Detroit 9.5. So yeah, they've got them. Like a lot of people are probably going to pick Detroit to win the division.
Take the over on the Packers.
Ooh, really?
Some early betting nuggets here
from highly noted sports gambler Luke Anthony.
Yes. Just got back from my weekly trip to Vegas to talk with the Sharps.
You need the gold chains and everything on you too. Yeah.
Gosh. Wow.
You need to be more enthusiastic too. You need to be like yelling into the microphone and
I've got the lock of the week. 1-800. Call this week. I've got 5 stone cold locks.
There you go.
Oh, gosh.
Yep. Perfect.
This is reminding me of like Wayne Allen Root.
DP's got a podcast. Dan Patrick's got a podcast where it's like the betting podcast because he doesn't know anything about it. So he tries to, like bet on games and that.
Yeah.
We might have to do something like that. Do our own little version of something like that.
Have one of those bad TV shows with like 6 million graphics all scrolling across the screen at the same time.
Mm-hmm. I'll have to look this up, but I'm curious too. Like, has the odds on Anthony Richardson moved up over like C.J. Stroud in that, like for the number 2 quarterback taken?
That's boy, if that happens. I remember I had him as my stock riser after that first game of the season, but I don't think that was exactly a reach of a choice there, but I know he's here another cliche. I don't think you said this one, a specimen. But that's kind of the thing on Anthony Richardson. Like, have you seen the guy?
Yeah. For what it's worth, this was a couple days ago, and I know we got to take a quick break. But the odds, this was from CBS Sports. C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson are tied at a plus 170 for the second overall pick. Then it actually kind of drops. Big time. Tyree Wilson's at plus 1,000. Will Levis is at plus 1,000. Anthony Richardson plus 2,000. But then the third overall pick, which is kind of weird because it is the Cardinals, Anthony Richardson has the highest odds, plus 180. So I don't know if they're assuming a trade to move up to get Anthony Richardson, but it's interesting how the second overall pick, Will Levis has higher odds than Richardson, but then third overall pick, it's Richardson that has better odds than Will Levis.
Yes, that's probably based locking on who is in the current draft positions, but it changes based on who's there. If the Cardinals do trade up for Anthony Richardson, I mean, I hope he's a good pro, but that reinforces my whole stock falling thing. Like, again, if you're the Cardinals, wait till next year. Don't do this now. No.
And that's where I wonder how many of these teams are really going to put together these really expensive packages to move up in the draft for a quarterback. Like, how many are already eyeing up 2024?
That's the year. Which now I think we thought this was going to be the year too, because last year was not a good year. The very rare not good year. But we don't necessarily know. I mean, some of those quarterbacks may flame out too. We think so. I think it's still okay. You don't always want to be accumulating draft picks, and then going forward and accumulating more draft picks. I mean, at some point you actually have to use the draft picks and get the good guy. But I think that's a smarter move considering who we've got this year, because Young's going to be gone pretty early. Levis, there's concern about accuracy and such.
Yeah,
I think that's what it
that's
is.
something that's being floated out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Richardson, we don't
People
know.
are arguing on Twitter about it.
Arguing about a whole lot of stuff on Twitter now. It seems like the quarterback class is going the wrong way this year, where the other years it looked like everyone was right up towards the top, and it almost seems like it's weakening as the days go
well,
on.
I mean, Bryce Young, what was it? Because his height, he's too short.
Right.
You got that. CJ Stroud, well, is he athletic enough? Can he make the plays and that? And Will Levis, as you mentioned, the accuracy. Anthony Richardson, is he going to take a couple years to mold into a starting quarterback? I mean, rinse and repeat on all this stuff with these guys. There's something negative with every player in this draft, right? I mean, but then I always hate, here's another cliche, the safe pick. Jamal Adams was the safe pick from a few years ago. How's that working out?
Not so well.
That's why I think what this year's safe pick is Will Anderson. Like everybody's saying, that's the safe pick.
Maybe, but now maybe not. There doesn't seem to be an absolute lock this year. Usually there is. I'm not seeing it this year. Like, there's plenty of really good ones, but none where you're like, okay, guaranteed Hall of Famer. There's no question. And I'm not seeing that this year, which does make me wonder, though, if we're going to see some quarterback falling going on. You start to see the break of quarterback 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe one other in there. Maybe that happens this year.
Yep.
I kind of want to see it happen that way, just to get away from quarterback mania.
Yeah. We got some people dissing what should have been an Oscar-worthy movie, Draft Day, right now. That I will not stand for that kind of blasphemy on this program right now. Will not stand for that. Come on. I mean, isn't there bad movies that we all just like, okay, it's a bad movie, but it's so bad I love it that I will watch it? That's me with Draft Day.
Is it a cult classic, to use this term for the second week?
Not old enough yet. Not old enough.
Well, wait, Super Mario. Oh, that's yeah, I guess that's a little older now. So yeah, that would be
if you're talking the 90s one, no, that's not even a cult classic.
But that's why I mentioned that last week. Like, again, this whole is every bad movie a cult classic? No, sometimes a bad movie is actually a bad movie. It's not. There's no cult to it. It's just it sucks. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I think Draft Day has become a bit of a cult classic because here's the clue. A cult classic needs to constantly constantly be cited in some sort of media.
So thing. Major League to me is a cult classic.
I'd actually go beyond. I thought that was a legit, well done movie in its time.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember when it came out. It was like, oh, cool. Here's Major League. I do think this might be a little controversial because it sounds like I'm insulting the movie, but I think Roadhouse is a cult classic.
How dare you?
Because I think it wasn't, if I recall, and again, I was maybe it came out about the same time as Major League, but as I recall, it wasn't that well received compared to Major League, which I think was much better received. Not Oscar worthy, but it was more so. But it's been cited so often over time that it has definitely become a solid cult classic, and to the point where there is now a new Roadhouse being made.
How dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you?
What's worse, calling that a cult classic or a new Roadhouse?
New Roadhouse is 100% the worst thing they could have ever done. Roadhouse is that movie when it's on TV, one of the many movies. When it's on TV, you stop and you watch it.
Of course. Roadhouse.
Yeah. Come on now. His name is Wade Garrett. The Ringer has the top 50 cult classic movies. Any guess on number one, really quick?
Oh,
90s.
90s cult classic. I mean, it's going to be, what is it? 'Cause
Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
Come on.
Because that was going through the whole Dude
Yeah.
Abides. That was going through my mind.
Yeah. Rocky Horror Picture Show's 2.
Yep.
Dazed and Confused 3.
Hmm.
This is Spinal Tap 4. Donnie Darko 5.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So
Seen
Monty
some-
Python and the Holy Grail's at number 8. Office Space 10.
I've seen most of those.
Mhm.
Not seen Donnie Darko. I have not seen. What was the third one?
What were they? I gotta scroll back down. Third one was Dazed and Confused. That's the Matthew
Not s-
McConaughey.
That one I've not seen either.
All right.
The others I've seen.
All right. So we got 2 and 1 more to go. Let's do some stock reports coming up after these quick news updates. Third hour kicking off on this Wednesday morning of April 19th. Hopefully, all off to a fantastic start. Appreciate you tuning in, however and wherever you may be checking in from. Coming up in just a little bit, we'll get to another edition of Showdown, the 2 years that we'll be doing battle against each other this morning. 1984 versus 1992. 84 versus 92. So,
Oh, boy.
A little close
Oh,
there.
boy.
That's kind of your wheelhouse, isn't it?
It
a
is.
little bit. So, yeah.
Yeah, wow. Those are some heavy hitters in there.
All right. So we'll get to that coming up in about, let's say 15-ish minutes or so. But before that, let's do some stock reports. All right, Luke, whose stock's going up for you this morning?
I mean, okay, so the obvious one is anything involving the Washington professional football franchise. So
That's Brandon picked them as the cream of the crop on Friday.
Oh gosh,
I think he said Washington fans or something like that. But yeah, for the same reason.
See, and I'm not even calling them Commanders because I still am again, not anti-Commanders. I still think there's a somewhat decent chance they're going to change the name again.
Wow.
Do like Red Wolves or something, the one that the most of the fans wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Snyder just didn't want to do that, didn't want to pay any money to try to make it happen. I think this Commanders is probably just too associated with Snyder that's part of washing the stink off the team. But I'm going to say Wes Edens, both literally and figuratively, his stock is going up. His value is going up. Think of his two main teams and what they're doing right now. And one we obviously know about, and one you have to be paying attention to the Premier League. But of course I would be, because it's Aston Villa. But first, the Bucks, obviously. I mean, I know Giannis out, doubtful for tonight. What's going to happen? The Bucks are still the favorite to win the NBA championship this year. That's still that in and of itself is increasing his value. Then you see that Mark Lazary sold for $3.5 billion. So how much do you think?
And how much of a percentage? Do you know off the top of your head how much of a percentage of that was the team?
I don't know. I mean, I kept seeing the whole 25%.
Holy moly,
$3.5 billion. But then I'm like, wait a minute. So what? That's over 10 billion. I think there might have been. I think some of the math was a bit off on that.
Okay.
Regardless, it's still going to be a lot of money involved if and when Wes Edens sells. I mean, maybe Mallory gets the team at some point. But
I don't know if she's still dating Aaron, but here you go. Holy moly.
Ownership drama between the two owners, Aaron and Mallory. That's going to be a lot of money if he ever chooses to sell. The value keeps going up. Then consider, and because that was an insight into how much the Bucks are worth because of that sale. So, okay, wow. Second, Aston Villa has the third most wins in the Premier League since last November, behind two of the absolute blue bloods, Arsenal and Manchester City. They have been white hot. They're almost in, right. If the season ended today, they'd be in the top six. I'm not going to get into the whole arcane, how do you qualify for tournaments? Because I read up on it. It confuses me and it confuses most people because there are a whole lot of factors. Point being, in the Premier League of the 20 teams, by the way, your Wolves are not in the relegation zone. They're not that far from it, but it looks like they may hang on for next year. May get some more Premier League action for Wolves next year. But meanwhile, up at the top 6 teams go on to one of the European tournaments, like the Champions League, and then there's a couple others, but still, as they call it, going to Europe, qualifying for Europe is kind of the saying. That's a big deal for any of those teams at the top. And right now, Aston Villa has played their way up to number 6. It's going to be really tough to hold on because of the number of games teams have played. It's a little different, and there are teams behind them that have played fewer games. They may leapfrog them. The point is, they're in position to finally make a European tournament. They haven't done that since the late 2000s. I think it was the year before I became a fan. So right now, as an Aston Villa fan, I'm in uncharted territory. What is going on here? They're really good. Well, as we know, Wes Edens co-owns Aston Villa. Their value is going up and up and up and up. You start making European tournaments, you start making the Champions League, that gets really valuable. His stock, literally and figuratively, is Wes Edens is a guy you'd want to be right now. If you're in terms of upside, Wes Edens is in a really good spot right
now. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
is he married? Do you know? Random question, I know. Because I don't see, like, every time I see him on the court, it's him and his daughter watching the games.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I read that profile when I did that interview with Greg Evans from the Athletic UK, and I read his profile on Edens. But I think one of the takeaways is that he's not really the most out there kind of, like, you're not going to know a lot about his private life. He's not super secret, but it's still kind of, oh, okay, he just kind of does his thing. But I don't know the answer to that. I'm actually going to have to look up Wes Edens married, and somehow that's going to send me down the Mallory Edens rabbit hole.
Very random question, but yeah. Anyways, my stock riser, I mentioned it already in the first hour, the Milwaukee Brewers bullpen, the best in Major League Baseball right now, 1.91 ERA last night, 6 innings, added 6 more innings without an earned run. As Adam McCulvey said it on his piece on Brewers.com, quote, "That's a surprise. There's no way around it." Talking about the bullpen right now with all the questions that was surrounding this bullpen heading into spring training. Like, who is in that bullpen besides Devin Williams? Right now, I know they had that inning streak. It was snapped. Was it last week or something like that where they didn't allow a single run? But regardless, this bullpen, my money, my opinion, has been the biggest surprise so far of this team, just because we didn't know what the heck or who the heck 80-90% of these players were in the bullpen, and right now they're the best in Major League Baseball. Stock rising. Brewers bullpen.
Solid one. Oh, by the way, Wes Edens is married.
Okay.
Is married.
Show up to the game. Whoa. I'm just kidding.
Well, they have 4 children, so maybe she's helping out we're
not freaking TMZ or Perez. Is it Perez or Paris Hilton or whatever?
The Hiltons?
No, what's that, like, Hollywood person? Perez Hilton, something like that?
Perez Hilton?
Is
yeah.
it? Okay. I don't know. See how much I know, but yeah. All right. Stock fallers.
I'm going to say everyone's favorite super insignificant sporting event that we still care about that doesn't have anything to do with NBA All-Star Weekend, and that's the Pro Bowl. After the Myles Garrett comment that he is, quote-unquote, retired, and at first you're like, retired from the Pro Bowl, but then you see, oh, he got injured in the Pro Bowl? So how quickly does that spread around to other players who are like, well, I'm not going to get injured playing in skills competitions and such. This does not mean that the Pro Bowl is now done. But I wonder if, like, again, players talk. This is, I think, a little bit of it bubbling over the surface. And I wonder if that leads to another round of, like when we did have this last year of Pro Bowl quarterback, insert like second to lowest on the QBR ranking quarterback, that sort of stuff, which is not really the stars we want to see, because everyone, again, has they clipped their fingernail the wrong way. I got to miss it because they don't want to take part because they don't want to get injured. I was intrigued by what he said of, let's incorporate like the kids, let's incorporate the fans in some capacity. That might actually be really fun. But that's the one thing that keeps these all-star events from truly being all-star events is the potential for injury. And there was an injury. And he came right out and said, I'm not doing this anymore. Not that we need Myles Garrett in the Pro Bowl to get viewers. But I saw that. I have to think something's going to be addressed, especially in the NFL end. And they are very proactive about this sort of stuff. I'm sure they don't want that to become a trend and have to reinvent the Pro Bowl. Again, if the thing went away, it wouldn't really matter. Again, we're talking about one of the most insignificant things in sports that people surprisingly care about. But I'd say that's a little bit on the downturn right
now. My stock fallers are every draft eligible player right now for next week's draft, because if you read everything about you, you stink right now. You suck. You shouldn't be drafted high at all, because that's what everybody is saying right now for you, Justin. And it's all because they want to lower your stock so that team can go draft you. So if you believe everything out there, every single player in this draft stinks. They're just awful. They shouldn't be drafted. Teams just have to draft you, because what else are they going to do? Bypass the pick like the Vikings did a couple times or a couple years ago?
That might be a good thing. So with the first pick, Carolina passes.
Yeah.
The Houston Texans are on the clock.
Draft season a week before stinks because of all this crap that's get floated out there. All the smoke screen BS and all that. Come on now. I get it. It's gamesmanship, but this is ridiculous. Why are we still doing this when everybody and their grandma knows it's just gamesmanship at this point? It's dumb. It's absolutely dumb.
And we got 8 more days of this.
For crying out loud. But, yeah. Because I don't know if you saw Jalen Carter. He did an interview on HBO, apparently.
I did not see the interview.
I was reading a couple of questions, Q&As. I guarantee you this is going to be brought up now and maybe lower his draft status. Because he was asked about, the situation.
Yes.
This is from quotes from Jalen Carter on HBO's Real Sports as part of a Drew Rosenhaus story.
Mhm.
Question to Jalen Carter. Have any of these teams that have talked to you, have any of the coaches, have any of the executives asked you about what happened on January 15th? Yes, a couple teams asked me about it, but they really didn't get too in-depth about the accident. They just wanted to hear my side. That was it. Question, do you think what happened in January is going to matter to the NFL teams come draft day? Yeah, I feel like it's going to matter a little bit because, NFL teams look deep into your life. It could have been something I did back in elementary school, and I'm pretty sure they would know. So this coming out at the time it did come out, I'm pretty sure it's going to affect a little bit. And some people are like, way to show remorse, to the whole situation.
I guess, and I know there have been some character issues about him. On the other hand, consider the age involved. Like, how much remorse are we necessarily expecting at the maturity level? That's for anyone at that age. It's going to be tougher to get.
I just I don't know how many times or how many people really kind of fathom how much pressure scouts and GMs are on. Their jobs are on the line to try to find the next Hall of Fame player, right?
Mm-hmm.
The draft's a crapshoot. We all know the draft is a crapshoot. Yet we sit here and criticize picks when they don't work out. We kind of praise when they do. Or it's more of like, well, you should have expected that to work. But I don't even know if you could put yourself in the shoes of scouts and GMs and sit there and realize our jobs are in the hands of 21, 22-year-olds right now. I'm a 50, 55-year-old man or a 40-year-old man.
I'm a man.
And my career, my future is in the hands of some 21-year-old right now if he plays well at a sport.
And then presuming he doesn't do anything else
stupid off the field or off the court or anything.
As we've just referenced with a certain player. The ones that seem to get the most praise are the ones that are the most savvy with the contracts going down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Not even the ones who necessarily draft the best. You hear the praise about, I've been hearing a good amount of Howie Roseman praise in the wake of the Hurts signing, but then also the players that he's had on the team that have lesser contract value.
Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword, too, because, look, it was a year ago. There were rumors that the Eagles wanted Russell Wilson.
Well, and worse.
Or Aaron Rodgers.
Deshaun Watson.
Or Deshaun, exactly.
Yeah, I was just listening
it's
to
like
the latest Brandt's rants. I was just listening to that pod, and he brought up just that as Andrew Brandt said, sometimes the best deals you make are the ones you don't make.
Right, exactly. So Howie Roseman has to, thank Jalen Hurts a lot, and he did with that contract, obviously, too. But, I mean, how different would the Eagles be looking right now, potentially?
Potentially lots. Now, okay, then there's also the possibility that maybe Russell Wilson does better there, or maybe Deshaun Watson post-suspension is better, though I still think that's... I don't know. There are those circumstances, and that's a whole alternate universe. But...
and I get it. It's the job as fans and all that to criticize picks when they don't work out and assess. But for once, I want a fan to go out there and say, oh, man, I completely blew it on that. I was reminded of the boos from the Packers draft party in 2008 when Green Bay used to do a draft party. Smart on them, probably. I would love to go to one, but probably smart that they don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know where the first pick was for the Packers in 2008? But a lot of Packers fans at that party hated it.
Yeah. And then I'm blanking.
Jordy Nelson.
Yes.
They hated it.
Mm-hmm.
Turned out okay.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, I want to fire you as fan then too.
It'd be kind of funny to do that. That's a tough one. I don't. Oh gosh.
As much as everybody, we love to play fantasy football and make these rosters and such. And as a kid, that was my dream job. I kid you not. When I was in elementary school, I wanted to be a general manager. I didn't care about playing. I wanted to be a general manager. I don't want to be a general manager.
No, I mean, look, and that's part of the appeal of fantasy football, that you do get to be. That's the closest thing you get to being a general manager.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of get to do it in real time, but with like no consequence outside of like potentially losing whatever your filing fee is for your given league. And of course, there's some potential big upside from getting all of the filing fees if you do really well. But that's it. Otherwise, you're just playing along week by week by week by week by week.
Mm-hmm. That's why
not easy to do, though.
Yeah, that's why I've said it many times, and I know Brandon was the same, and I know a lot of you say, when Madden, I'd play the game once in a while. I'd rather create the team. I'd rather draft and trade and sign players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Now it's funny because, I'm a soon-to-be 37-year-old that's like cruising TikTok now these days. But there's now videos out there where people are doing that exact thing. I've seen it for baseball and basketball now. These people are making TikTok videos, Luke, of them building these teams on video games to see if they can win a championship. Like there's one dude who's just doing it with the Oakland A's all the time. I don't follow him, but it just pops up once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Or like basketball is like, we're going to try to rebuild the Mavericks with, Kyrie Irving is our main player. How long does it take us to win a championship, sort of thing? That's all people care about right now, I feel like, is like building the teams and that. It's fun. But then you put yourself in the shoes of that, it's like a whole different ballgame.
Well, right. And because again, you don't have a $1 billion operation having its future determined by your moves.
Which goes back to this interesting quote. Again, if this is old news, I apologize, but I just saw it the other day. So because Bill Huber, I think, retweeted this article.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if you saw this or not, but Bill Huber, he covers the Packers, writes a little bit for SI.com. He's covered the Packers for years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to bring up the quote. So yeah, he in a conference. Okay. So he retweeted it because of a conference call, but this article is actually a little older than that. But there was a quote. So this radio host in New York, who's also an FS1 host, Craig Carton, and there's a quote in this article where this Carton said that Mark Murphy, in Carton's words, told Goody, quote, "Do you like your job? Because I like my job. We are not making a trade for what's on the table." Talking about the Aaron Rodgers to Jets thing. Now, I don't know how this individual would know what kind of sources he's got with Mark Murphy in that, since he's a New York guy. But that's kind of like, all right. And the thing is, too, is like the kicker is, remember, Mark Murphy has to retire in 2 years. It's not like he's played it. He has to, because it's the mandatory retirement age for Packers presidents.
Right.
So that's in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So how much would his job actually be on the line with this? That's kind of questionable.
Still could be, but yeah.
Yeah, it says, according to Carton, the Packers-Jets trade would have been done 2 weeks ago if it were up to Packers general manager Brian Gutekunst. That's when Packers president Mark Murphy allegedly intervened and, quote, infighting ensued.
Infighting ensued.
Yeah.
Infighting on Lombardi Avenue.
Those pillars, baby. Those silos.
Oh, boy. Would you want to be Brian Gutekunst to go? Okay, let's go right there. Would you want to be a general manager? If the Packers came to you and said, Dan Kasper, you are going to be the general manager of the Green Bay Packers and all that entails.
As I just said 3 minutes ago, I don't want to be, but now that you just posted that, it is working for Green Bay. So,
and
I would have to
together.
I have to pull the trigger for the Aaron Rodgers trade, right? I'd have to be the architect of that.
But understand. Okay, so here's the caveat to this. I'm going to throw this in here. If you get the Aaron Rodgers trade wrong, quote unquote, wrong, you will be fired after another year, and you will be banned from any Packer game for life. Banned.
I'm not even welcome back on like
Nope,
alumni days
because you screwed up the Aaron Rodgers trade.
I screwed the whole franchise, and it's getting sold and moved.
Well, they're not getting sold and
I'm
moved.
just joking.
Right. But you sent them back to the 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
It's a recreation of the 1974 season where NFL Films just didn't even bother to recap the season. It was so bad. They just had Bart Starr talking for a half hour about the following season. That bad. And that's what you did to your Green Bay Packers if you screwed up. Now, if you did it right, you got them on the path to a potential Lombardi trophy. And that's Dan. And there's going to be a Kasper's, let's see. So it has to be alliterative. So what's your streak going to be called?
What's my streak?
Kasper's, not Kasper's Circle.
I was going to say the Kasper Roundabout.
There's enough roundabouts around there. Actually, you could probably just claim one of those. Kasper Corner, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Ooh,
so
like Amen Corner.
Yeah, just like that. So that's
I'd want something more than the Bob Harlan Plaza. That thing. So
yeah.
But.
So So if those are the stakes, do you take the job?
No. You really damped it down for me, man. No. I want to be welcome back on alumni day.
You get booed by the pipe. Is any job of the Packers worth it to get booed by the fans?
Yeah, I'd say so.
See, okay, then you got to take the job because that's essentially what it would be. You'd be booed by the fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
former general manager Dan Kasper.
I know in that same article it mentioned like San Francisco apparently, 3 multiple third-round picks and a 2024 first-round pick or something like that sort of thing. I mean, and I know it's like this is going on. It's like, well, if it doesn't happen by draft day or something like that, it falls through or something. I feel like it's Jets or nobody at this point, don't you?
Yeah.
I know there was other stuff floated at one time. I think it was the other day. I had seen some Yard Barker article, I think it was Yard Barker that said the Titans were interested in it. The thing is, he doesn't have a no trade clause, but Aaron Rodgers can force where he wants to go or not. Let's be real, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Andrew Brain has said many times. If Aaron doesn't want to go to a team, he can just retire.
Mm-hmm. And he would.
Yeah. And I know he's got a house in Tennessee and all that, but
let's not read too much into any of that.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, have we discussed the looming schedule?
What's funny? Because I was looking at my Facebook memories the other day, and like today and yesterday, there was posts from idiot 20-some-year-old Dan about the schedule.
Do you not care as much about the schedule as you did as idiot 20-something Dan Kasper?
Well, no, I still care, but I'm like, wow, they actually did that mid-April. Now it's like, what?
Well, now it's got to be, it's an event.
Right.
And they have to do, because they need to own May now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Probably around, looks like May 11th, May 12th. So that I've been thinking of that lately, like, if they don't get this deal done by then, and I've been thinking about it because I listen to, as I've cited before, I listen to a lot of sports media podcasts, like especially like the SI Media Pod, stuff like that, Press Box. And I've been hearing interviews with Jim Nantz and talking about all of the side note. He was on the SI Media podcast right after the Masters, right after we were like, yep, the CW. And he said, not at all. He said, that's him being quirky. But he said, nope, that had nothing. He knew about it. He said, no, it had nothing to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, the way he put it. He didn't sound like he was like, no, I didn't. I think it was legit. But there's all this talk about all the Jets games that CBS is going to have. Nance and Romo are going to be pretty much set up in New York if they're not doing Patrick Mahomes games. It's going to be all Jets games. Well,
I think is that the other thing too, is like they're waiting for this trade to happen so they can come out with a schedule.
Well,
As a former person who used to do schedules, they stink trying to figure this out.
I thought I saw something where they have to have the schedule out by a certain date.
I thought they had to. It was like shortly after the draft, isn't it?
Yeah, like May 12th. So they can't just wait. But if this deal is not done and then it falls through, like you don't want to give the Jets, because that's the thing. The Jets are going to be on TV so much if Aaron Rodgers goes. Well, okay, so what if then the
immediate flexing?
Yeah, a lot of flexing, because if they project that out and then the deal falls through, oh, cool, we get to watch a sucky Jets team a lot because they can't flex every game out.
Yeah.
So consider that as a possibility here. I mean, it's and remember, they're doing these scheduled things like right up to the very last moment. So unless anyone thinks that they need to make the move by like 2 weeks out, they could probably make the move on like May 9th or May 10th, and there'll be enough accommodations.
Yeah.
But I can't remember a year where a player moving could have such a set of ramifications. Schedule ramifications, just another spread.
This late in the process, right?
Yeah. I can never remember anything like that.
Yeah, because Brady was already early for the Buccaneers thing.
Right.
So.
This one's different. And of course, Favre, but you didn't see that coming. Where you knew this was coming, but it wasn't resolved.
Yeah.
And that's different this year.
Yeah. I mean, I still think it's going to get done. But hey, credit to Goody if he's holding out for what he wants there, or Mark Murphy, whoever it is at this point. I don't know who it is, but I mean, they hold the cards. If Aaron wants to retire, all right, no loss there either. You just don't get a draft pick. He retires or he gets traded. It's the same amount of dead cap hit. So honestly, I don't care between the two at this point. If he's traded, whatever. If he retires, you go out as a Packer. Awesome. I don't care either way.
Also, for the schedule, I think the Packers it's a wash. They're enough of a basic draw. They're more of a draw than the Jets, which is saying something. Green Bay versus New York, but fan base is much bigger. There's going to be intrigue of whatever happens next with Green Bay for at least one season.
I will suggest to Green Bay, though, this time, if Aaron does say, all right, whatever, I'm going to retire because you're not trading me to the Jets, I'm not going anywhere else, I'm just going to retire, don't put his face on the tickets for the first game like you did with Favre.
Probably a bad idea to do that. Yeah. Let's pass on that. You got plenty of other options besides players that may not be on the team within months.
How much hindsight's 2020? I know we got to take a break and do a quick showdown, but how much of that was hindsight? Or, like, hey, Favre retired. We're really going to push this so he does stay retired. So we're going to make the first game, Favre night. We're going to retire his number. We're putting his face on a ticket. We're going to do all this just to make sure he stays retired.
Yeah, and
it didn't work out anyways. So
seemed like a risky proposition, given I mean,
because we don't see that too often. Where as soon as a guy retires, hey, first game back, it's we're hanging up his number and doing all that.
I mean, what if I want to play? What if I want to go to Minnesota? What if I see what I'm doing there? Yeah. This is a guy that's kind of uncertain with a lot of stuff. Seemed like not the best move there.
Yeah. I was one of those. I bought a ticket right away, so I did.
Do you still have that ticket?
Yeah, it's actually worth a lot of money because it's actually Rodgers' first start.
You should post that. I want to see the Brett Favre picture of that. I mean, I'm sure I could Google it somewhere, but
because I saw it on eBay, I was looking it up the other day just to see how much it was worth, and that was before they scanned me. I think they still ripped it. Remember that?
Oh yeah,
that sort of thing. Maybe not. I'll have to double check, but
it seems about right.
Rodgers ticket stub first start.
Wow.
Where is that? Oh, not that one. Okay, so this person. No, this was a scan one. So, but this person on eBay wants $350 for it. This one's $220.
Seems like a lot.
150. Okay, now we're getting a little more reasonable, I guess. But geez, Louise.
Yeah.
The thing is, I wouldn't sell mine. I know these prices are going to go down, but I wouldn't sell mine. I've got stubs to all my games.
Yeah, I'm seeing that Brett Favre one. Coats for kids. Yeah, that's great.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Always be careful who you put on your tickets and who you promote.
Right.
Especially if you got a history, you've got a lot of other options than the person who may not be there in a few weeks.
Some of these stubs are more than actually buying a ticket to go to the darn game, too. So,
Yeah, that's true. Like we were talking about last week, where it costs more to go to the game than to do direct what am I saying? Sunday ticket.
Yeah.
It's now it actually costs more to get that ticket than to have gone to the game in the first place.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got to take a break, and then quick edition, second round of Showdown again, the 2 years. We've got 92 versus 84. That's coming up in just a couple minutes. All right, let's jump into it here quickly. So, 84 versus 92. When you were saying this is going to be a couple of heavy hitters, were you thinking like music off the top of your head right away, or what? Just because that's your wheelhouse?
Well, music is obviously one of them.
Okay.
There was the book. Bring up the title again because I read it a couple summers ago. John Wertheim's book Glory Days, the summer of 1984, and the 90 days that changed that changed sports and culture forever. Which
okay.
have you read that book?
No.
It's an easy read, but it's good on setting the table for how much. I mean, he's true. How much of a nexus was 1984 in terms of pop culture, in terms of sports. It was a very significant year, and it still echoes to this day. But 92 is a pretty good one as well. So
I'm going to. I really, really hope it's not going to come down to the movies because I'm going to struggle with it. I'll just tell you that right now.
Yeah,
we might have to put it to a listener vote. So please, listeners, be listening because it might have to be your vote. So, I can already kind of tell you where I'm going to lead in sports right now.
Dream Team.
Yep, thank you. That was the first thing.
I understand.
Dream Team. Otherwise, Super Bowl. You had Washington over Buffalo that year.
Metrodome. Shout out.
The Toronto over the Atlanta Braves in the World Series. We got NCAA championship. It was Duke over Michigan, 71-51. Christian Laettner, player of the year, blah, blah,
The
blah.
Laettner. I mean, some memorable moments. The Laettner lob was that year. You back to baseball. Sid Bream to the walk off in the LCS was that year. It was the first year.
I know we're doing 92 first, so yeah.
Brett Favre taking over as quarterback.
84 Raiders over Washington in the Super Bowl. Miami over Nebraska, 31-30 national championship. Walter Payton broke Jim Brown's rushing record that year.
Eric Dickerson was going nuts that year.
Tigers won the World Series over the Padres.
You're talking about some of the all-time greats. The 84 Tigers, the 84 49ers. I know they won the Super Bowl in January of the following year, but that season, the 84 49ers were one of the best teams ever. Tigers, again, they went wire to wire back when there were only two divisions. It was one of the best baseball teams probably ever.
I'm going 92. So
I think
Dream Team seals it for me.
Because even the NBA Finals are pretty close. Like
that was the Bulls and Blazers, right?
Bulls and Blazers. Yep. You have the shrug.
Yep.
I mean, it was still a competitive series. The 84 NBA Finals might be one of the best ever, but 92 doesn't pale by. It's lesser than, but it doesn't pale by comparison. Is probably the best way I can put that. I think I got to take 92 for sports
as well.
And great as 84 was, and there was a lot of great that was happening in 84. 92 is better.
Yep. All right, music.
Purple Rain, Born in the USA, Like a Virgin, first MTV Video Music Awards.
This is all 84?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that year. Plus, the whole, like I said, cultural influence. Again, I'm blanking on the name of this, but someone coined the term. It was kind of like the flash dance music aesthetic. And that's not exactly what it is. But you hear that a lot in modern music. Think like Blinding Lights by The Weeknd, that sort of thing. The whole 80s thing that's never gone away, and it's still really big to this day. If you listen to
Okay, just go back to the Blinding Lights. Is that... Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Is that a shout out to the 80s, sort of?
It kind of is.
Because whatever that song plays, can I tell you what I think of? Stranger Things.
Yes.
I don't know why, but I think of Stranger Things. Maybe I'm dumb. I'm more dumb
no,
than,
I think that's someone that is somewhat.
I mean, I was born in the 80s, but I really didn't. I don't remember anything about the 80s.
Right.
So,
but
Stranger Things is kind of my go-to for the 80s. So.
That is like the whole Stranger Things. Like, I know the first season was based in 1983, but it's pretty close. If you really want to get an idea of that sound, I'm going to do a blatant radio station plug here, but the timing is perfect. Listen to Greatest Hits 98.1, my other station, this Sunday from 6 to 10 for Casey Kasem's American Top 40, the 80s. It's countdown from this week in 1984. And I'll bet as you listen song by song by song, that's like the quote-unquote stereotypical 80s sound. You'll hear a lot of that spread throughout that is stuck to this day, where you don't hear like later 80s stuff really gets captured all that much nowadays, and the early 80s stuff. I mean, there's a little yacht rock, but not as much. That's the one. And that was all over the place in 1984. Now, 92, that was like peak grunge year. Pearl Jam was huge. Nirvana was huge. It was a pretty significant year in that regard. But I'm going to take 1984 because it had more cultural influence overall.
Oh, boy.
So we're down to the movies.
Okay, so
and I think actually the difference between 84 and 92 music-wise, 92, really solid. It's lesser than. It doesn't pale in comparison, but it's lesser than. So movies will be the tipping point.
So let's start with 84. I'm going to work my way. I'm basing it off the IMDb ranking, so I'm working my way from the bottom according to them up. Okay. Natural was in 1984. The Natural, great baseball movie. You've got, I mean, if you want to go to the beginnings of Tom Hanks, Splash, remember that? That thing was on like TBS and TNT all the time when I was a kid. Children of the Corn. You've got This Is Spinal Tap. I never watched that movie. Have you ever watched that movie?
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
Is it good? Okay.
Yes, it is.
Gremlins, a classic from my childhood.
I finally watched that movie in full.
Wow.
Not that long, because I had the when I was a kid. I still have it. The vinyl 45 and the storybook thing that went along with that.
Mhm.
So I remember a whole lot of scenes from it, but I never watched the movie until I think it was like last Halloween.
Interesting.
And of course, it's got Phoebe Cates, hardcore 80s crush.
Footloose, Kevin Bacon.
Mhm.
Nightmare on Elm Street, first one.
Mhm.
Beverly Hills Cop,
Jeez.
16 Candles.
Oh my gosh.
The Karate Kid.
Oh,
Amadeus, great movie.
yes.
Ghostbusters,
Oh man.
Revenge of the Nerds, The Terminator, Conan the Destroyer, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and Police Academy.
My God.
That's 84.
Was it Romancing the Stone that year?
Yes, I think I skipped
you-
over that one. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Top that.
So 92, you got Malcolm X,
Okay.
Denzel Washington. You've got, this is more like maybe if you were a little bit younger sort of thing, like Beethoven. Remember when that movie
Yes.
came out?
Mhm.
Lethal Weapon 3, White Men Can't Jump. We've got A River Runs Through It. Brad Pitt. Remember that
Mhm.
one over there?
Mhm.
We got Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. We've got Sister Act, Encino Man, which is talked about all with, Brendan Fraser, lately.
Mhm.
Can't-
Two Academy Award winners, same
Mhm.
movie.
Yep. The Mighty Ducks. Alien 3. Yeah, Alien 3. Batman Returns, Wayne's World, A Few Good Men, Patriot Games, Aladdin, the animated version, Bodyguard, The Last of the Mohicans, Scent of a Woman, Basic Instinct, My Cousin Vinny, Dracula, with by the way, Francis Ford Coppola, who directed that,
Mhm.
did not know his nephew is Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
And I did not know Talia Shire, who plays Adrian in Rocky, Nicolas Cage's aunt.
Yep.
Had no idea. Found that out a couple weeks ago.
That's true.
A League of Their Own as well in 1992. So we got some depth to these years.
Note also, Kei Kwan, you just mentioned Encino Man,
Mm-hmm.
also in Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom. Yep.
Yes, we have an Academy Award winner in movies in both years.
Oh, Three Ninjas was also 1992. I used to watch that all the time as a kid. Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, not Shrunk the Kid. That was 92. Forever Young. God, that was on TV all the time too. Do you remember that one?
And not as much.
That was Mel Gibson. Like he was frozen, and then he like Jamie Lee Curtis is in it. I think. Then he's unfrozen. Then he ages really quick.
Another Academy
Sidekicks
Award
was in
winner.
92. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Sidekicks. Do you remember that one?
Vaguely, yes.
Chuck Norris, like the kid. His idol is Chuck Norris. He's a kid that struggles in school. So he like always idolizes Chuck Norris and like daydreams hanging out with Chuck Norris. And he takes karate. Then at the karate meet, Chuck Norris is there, and then like they go and win. It's like a Karate Kid sort of thing. So Ladybugs with Rodney Dangerfield. Remember that movie where same kid and Sidekicks
vaguely.
actually.
It's one
so
of his latter ones, I think.
Yeah. Captain Ron, come on.
Okay.
Kurt Russell, Martin Short, Mr. Baseball, Tom Selleck.
Oh my gosh, yes. Wow.
Uh,
Okay, well, where are you going with this?
I got to go 84.
Okay.
I got to go 84. It's so top heavy.
I'm glad you did. I was going to say, like, culturally speaking, you mentioned so many that resonate so much. I think I said this once before in the show. I think the circa 83, 84, I was really meaning music, but, and I'm kind of, I guess I'm confirming what John Werdheim had as a thesis of his book. That year has had a not so much, obviously, like it's not like a 1968 or one of those years that had a big impact on like society, or I think like 2020, I think we can even say only 3 years on will have a big impact on society in a broad, like maybe policy wise, et cetera, et cetera. 1984, culturally speaking, across the board, may go down as one of the more influential years we've had in modern culture in like the last century.
Mm-hmm.
Of all those movies you mentioned, I think even maybe more so than the music. Those movies, my gosh, you could list like 3 and you'd be good. And there were like 8 or 9 in a row.
Yeah, when you look at, because it's sorted by popularity on IMDb.
Mhm.
I mean, Police Academy, Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom. I mean, even if you don't, Conan the Destroyer is an awful movie, but you know about it.
And those three you just
Yeah.
mentioned are ones you'd have to remind people of.
Mhm.
You haven't
The
even gotten-
Terminator, for crying out loud.
Mhm.
Revenge of the Ghostbusters. Amadeus, the Karate Kid's gotten, 16 Candles, Beverly Hills
Yes.
Cop. So Footloose, for crying out loud. Yeah. So I'll go 84. I'm
Yeah.
going 84.
Yeah.
So
84 advances.
all right. Close, but that's what all these are going to be close at this point.
Well, yeah, because we're getting the better ones.
Yep. All right, let's take our final break here, and then we'll cover some of the bases. Bucks in action tonight. How concerned are you if Giannis doesn't play? Do you think the Bucks can win tonight without him? Last call for your thoughts. Hit us up with some texts. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. Hey, Luke, before we get into some hoops talk and baseball talk quick, let's give a round of applause to Chris Paul. I don't know if you heard.
I did not, but
He
what am I-
last night Chris Paul breaks the 13-game playoff losing streak with Scott Foster as a ref. So
Oh, yeah.
nice.
Hey.
Congratulations, Chris Paul. Suns all the way now.
Anything is possible.
There you go. Nice work. Nice work. Streaks are meant to be broken, and we got that one broken last night. So nice work.
Nice.
Good job, Chris. So
smiles all around.
Yeah. All right. Will the Bucks get the W tonight without Giannis?
Yes, they will.
Right.
I think they figure it out. Like, the other thing to remember is the Heat had a really, 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 really good shooting night.
They're not going to probably shoot 60% from three again, right? Probably not going to happen.
This exact same thing happened outside of Giannis getting injured in the playoffs 2 years ago. Like, oh my gosh. And you're like, well, hang on. Miami had like the great nights. Can they do that 3 more times?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. So no, I think the Bucks win regardless of if Giannis is there.
Who needs to be the X factor tonight for the Bucks then?
I mean, Middleton was pretty good last time.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know what? I'd like to see Brook Lopez.
That's my
better.
pick.
Yeah,
he only shot the ball 7 times in game 1.
Yeah,
gonna have to do a little bit more.
Let's see more. And I know matchups you want them to be the best, but I'd feel a little better there.
Yeah, my pick was also Brook Lopez on there too. So I'm picking a Bucks win tonight.
Okay.
I don't think Giannis plays. Okay, let me ask you this. If it's coach's decision, do you sit him or do you play him?
I mean, I think the best case scenario is you sit him, but you can bring him in.
Yeah, so you don't start him, but
I know it's like a binary thing. It has to be in or out. Well, can't he just play a few minutes if necessary? Why not? But we have to do. That's like a thing nowadays. But speaking of sports cliches that aren't actually phrases, that's a thing now, that a player is all in or all. I was thinking that yesterday. I was hearing about the regular season load management. You don't really have that. Well, why can't a player play like maybe 10 minutes in a given game instead of having to sit the whole game out?
Because something could happen in that 10 minutes.
I guess. Because it wouldn't happen in the 38 minutes in the next game.
Mm-hmm. Never know. Never know.
So stupid. But no, I think given the option, I think you can rest him because I think you can beat the Heat without him.
I do too. Especially, I think you also factor in Tyler Hero not playing.
Mm-hmm.
I think you factor that in. I mean, you're missing, 19, 20, 21 points a game with him missing the series now. So, it's a little bit more on the shoulders of Jimmy Butler, and he had a great game 1. But
I've been hearing this a lot in like the Simmons pods about how the Heat have a bit of a matchup advantage with their forwards that doesn't work well with the Bucks. And that especially the Heat have this incredible ability to kind of, he calls them the zombie Heat. They will just regenerate another player. I don't know if that's enough to win a whole series, but it could be closer than we think.
Mm-hmm.
But losing Hero, that definitely is a minus. I don't think whereas I think the Bucks just have more talent. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
They can get beyond.
This was my Monday morning quarterbacking on Monday. My second guess, why the heck did they not take him out when he was obviously in a lot of pain? And then you have him shoot, remember, did you see that play right before half?
I did not.
Oh, like you could tell Tyler was in a lot of pain. Like he's like, really, and then they don't take him out. I know there's just a few seconds left, so it's not that big of a deal or anything, but so he goes to he's playing defense, but then he's in the corner and he shoots a 3 and misses, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, the guy is in obvious pain. Like he's showing it.
Could have aggravated the injury further.
I don't know, but it's like, what are you guys doing?
I don't know.
It's like,
this is Spoelstra. He's one of the best coaches out there. That's actually confusing.
I know, it's like, because you could just tell, like it wasn't like he was trying to shake it off. You could tell the pain on his face. And I'm just like, coach is like, nah, stay in.
Suck it up.
It's like, what are you doing? And, but whatever. All right. Brewers complete the sweep today? Eric Lauer's on the mound.
Say no.
I think I'm going to go yes. I'll go yes.
Pretty solid, though, from this team overall.
13-5. 13-5 so far. Holding a 2-game lead over what everybody expected, the Pirates and the Cubs.
Pirates are actually they've got something going on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if they're going to be that team that kind of comes out of nowhere and hangs around all season, like if they're this year's Orioles, if you want to go with a recent example. But Pittsburgh might be doing a little something here.
Your Twinnies on a 3-game losing streak.
Yeah,
right now.
but I mean,
They get big heads after putting 9 up in the first against the Yankees.
well, I mean that was a pretty big win.
Then they did win the next game, but then they've lost their last 3.
Yeah,
so.
last night was a fluke. I mean, that was a weird game. I'm not worried about where the Twins are at right now. I'm more interested.
Shout out your pitching, though. They're getting it done. So
yeah,
one of the biggest surprises in Major League Baseball.
I'd say so. Yeah. Oh, by the way, if anyone wants to rent Draft Day, there are 20 of 23 available copies through the Moore Library System in Western Wisconsin.
They've got 23 copies of that thing?
Across the assorted libraries.
Oh, okay.
But that still means there are 23, but 3 are checked out.
To you 3 people out there right now, well done.
Mhm.
Well done. Smart individuals. Have a good day.